Squid Comics Podcast, episode 17.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Episode 7. You knew
Yes.
you knew the episode number.
I did. I looked
Good
it up
job.
before the episode.
Nice.
I
think
won't-
you've been pretty good though so far.
I won't remember in 2 weeks that it's 18.
So we should. I don't know if we get to 26. I think we missed too many weeks. I don't think we'll get to 26 for the year.
We could double up. Crab
Double
them in.
We could catch the
Double
next
header,
one.
huh?
Yeah, we'll do one, and then when we're done, we'll
Start
another one at like midnight.
All right, for new listeners, I'm Drew.
I'm Don.
I'm Scott.
I'm sure we have lots of new listeners since we had Chris Grine on the podcast
I
I
know.
bet.
last week. I'm sure our
Probably
true.
trafficked.
traffic
through the
tripled at least.
roof, at least.
So you know. It's good
That was
stuff.
honestly fantastic though. It was
Oh, you
good.
enjoyed it?
I did.
Because we used to do interviews where you weren't always super excited about them.
I think maybe that's because I didn't know who the person was.
Okay, so as long as we get people you know, it'll be all right.
Well, I just got to do my research ahead of time.
That's cool.
Probably.
Well, I thought maybe we'll do it like once a month or every 3 or episodes or
Yeah,
something.
sounds
If you guys
fun.
are up for that, we can try to do.
Of course,
something.
even here again, I probably got to do my research better because I didn't realize that his Animorphs hadn't actually released yet. I was like, I've already seen that for sale. I thought. Oh,
Yeah, he posted it's like in the Scholastic book order or something. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw that on Facebook.
Oh, I did. I saw something from him post. I wasn't sure if that was a previews or if it was a Scholastic.
Scholastic book order.
So it's available for Scholastic.
Yeah,
before
you can
it's
get it on
available for
Amazon.
us.
Yeah, you can
Well,
pre-order it. I think on Amazon. That's why I thought it was.
Well, I
out.
think on the Scholastic, it's not. You can't get it yet. Like you order
Right.
it.
No, I
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah, the pre-orders are being taken in. I just
Yeah.
unfortunately I had
But yeah, it
seen
hasn't been in
that
previews. Is that
and
what
seen
you're
the
saying?
listing.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it
And it was
has.
probably-
I
haven't
think it
seen
was in previews.
I think you may have been right.
I haven't seen it in previews.
I think I saw it in previews.
This new one?
I think so.
All right, I haven't gone through it all the way yet.
I'm gonna say yes. I think I saw it, but then I decided not to order it because I just figured I'll just get it on Amazon or something. I've been trying not to order as many like kids graphic novels through my pre-orders because by the time I get them, it's already on Amazon. My
Yeah,
kids have already
pretty
bought
cheap.
them, and then I
Yeah.
end up with a double copy of like a Plants vs.
Your
Zombies.
kids buy stuff on Amazon that you don't know about?
Well, sometimes I just forget that I pre-ordered it. Like I'll say, "Oh, there's a new Dogman book. Let me order that for you on Amazon," and then I'll be like, "Oh crap, I pre-ordered Dogman."
And
And I
it's so
forgot.
hard to see your orders in Amazon, just the way that it's set up.
And
No,
he
Amazon's
orders-
easy. No,
he
it's
orders
the
so
comic
much.
book orders are the confusing
Oh,
part.
that's probably true.
Because I can't remember because I ordered it like 3 or 4 months ago and it hasn't come out
Ah,
yet.
I
okay.
usually
I'm like-
remember when I order something.
Through-
What?
Previous.
I was gonna say you never
Through the
remember
comic
what
book
the hell
store?
you ordered.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I thought I
Well,
ordered
if
number
I'm-
2, but yet I got 5 issues of number
If
5.
I'm ordering like
So
a graphic novel or a trade or something like that, then yeah, I'm waiting for it because I want to read it. So
'Cause you wanted
so
to
funny
get-
story about pre-ordering in comic book stores.
hilarious.
Hilarious. Collapser, right? So
Oh.
I go to the comic book store and they hand me my pre-order, my books, my pull list, and Collapser's in there. I'm like, pretty sure I didn't order this.
Mhm.
He's like, well, it was in your box. It says it was for you. I'm looking. So I'm pulling up I like all my pre-orders like on my phone, like
Oh.
digitally, like on my
So
Google
you
Drive.
do have them on your phone, so you could pull them up and look.
So I pull up. I say, dude, I have not ordered this Collapser. It's like I'm scrolling through. It's like, I mean, I ordered this trade. I haven't got this one yet. I mean, maybe you ordered this instead of that. I don't know. But he's like, well, no, that's not out yet. I'm like, all right, dude, I don't think I ordered Collapser. And he's just kind of like looking at me like, I don't know. It says you ordered it. But I'm like, whatever, dude. I'll just buy it. I mean, because if I don't buy it, they're never gonna sell it. You know what I mean?
Nope.
It's like they're just gonna eat it, and
Yep.
they give me a pretty good discount. So I kind of felt bad for them. I'm
Is
like,
this a-
I either eat this book or they eat it. You know what I mean? And I mean,
is
That's
this
nice
a
of
prairie
you.
dog?
yeah, it's a bird dog. And the guy's just kind of looking at me like, well, it says you ordered it. I'm like, I have all my orders. I did not order it, but whatever, dude. I'll buy it because you reviewed it on the podcast. You said it was pretty good.
I enjoyed it, but you made fun of it the whole
I
time
did.
because you didn't understand how a black.
I still don't understand how I read it. I
how
still
a
don't understand
person
how a
could have a
person
black
can have a
hole
black hole
inside of
inside them. It doesn't make any sense.
Do you understand now because you read it?
No, I still don't understand.
Hmm.
But
Did you
we
like
can talk.
it?
Oh,
Oh,
I
that's
didn't.
fine.
No, we can talk about it real quick. It was okay. It was very, very average, I guess you could say. Like I don't think it was anything like, oh, it's great or innovative. The art was decent. The writing was okay. It just didn't really do much for it. I think the best thing about it is that cover. That cover's pretty cool.
That is a cool cover.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. but that's probably the best.
I would have just like.
So it's written by Mikey Way, who's Gerard Way's brother, who's in the band with him, My
Oh.
Chemical Romance.
I didn't know that.
Because Gerard Way started the Young Animal imprint. So apparently you just hire your brother to write a comic.
There
Sure.
you go.
And
Keep it in the family.
that's how
might as
you
well.
do it.
Heck yeah.
Nepotism,
That is the way of the world.
The rich get richer.
pretty much.
And poor
So
get
apparently
poorer.
if you want to write a comic book, just have a famous brother who
You
writes
gotta,
a comic
you
book.
gotta get it. I gotta have an end.
So if you could become a famous writer for comic books, then I could get it in to write a comic. You could start your own and then I could write a book.
I'm working on it.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
starting.
He's the inker.
I'm
That will
starting
get
on the
his way
inking,
in,
and then I'm working
then-
my way up.
All right,
to-
cool.
To
Well,
write.
Well, let me know when you can nepotize me into the comic book writing gig.
Okay.
You already got some ideas laid out.
Oh yeah.
So I would have.
Just out the wazoo.
I would have.
It won't be about a guy with a freaking black hole in his chest. So.
See, I would have grabbed my stack of comics and then I would have walked over. See, you used to be able to.
Oh,
do
you
this.
used to just drop them off
Now-
on the thing.
Now you can't do that though because they don't have anything new. Everything's sold out.
They have some stuff, new,
They have a
but
few. I would have just found like
you would just
Batman.
like
Right. I would have
fluffed it
found
off
like
on a shelf.
the Batman, the new Batmans.
In 3
just
months, they'll find
hold 'em
collapse or trade.
and threw the collapse
We ordered a
behind
collapse.
it. I'd put the collapse.
Wait a minute! I remember
Batman.
that Woodworth guy ordered that, and then he said it wasn't his. What the hell?
Or
They would have found it. This would if it was something that like
he has a lot of long boxes that are like
oh
down
you
below.
just shove them in.
You
a
could
long
pull
box?
one of those long boxes out and just shove it in there. Just drop it down in there, go boom.
The problem,
And then I would write on the front of it with a marker.
if
I
I was
did not order this. I don't care what you said. You're a liar.
if I was smarter, I wouldn't have made a big deal of it at the register. Because at that point, if I come back to the register without it, he's gonna be like, "Where's that collapse trade we were just
Ah,
discussing?"
you just wait for like 4 people to go through.
And he'll completely forget.
He will.
Like I said,
I think
I
it's what
got a
they're
pretty
doing.
good discount. It wasn't that expensive. I figured
I
I'd
figured
a
out.
twirl.
I think I figured out how he's staying in business. He
He's
takes like
ordering these
yeah,
like
he
little
takes,
block
like-
books from
he
time to
takes
time
guys
and just
that-
slides them in.
that have a pull list, and he's like, "Well, just throw a dart at the order form." And like, "Yep, collapser for Drew." Like, he ordered it. It's on. It says it right here. Sorry,
Yeah.
sir.
Like I said, I just rolled with it. I tried to be a good sport, but
Was it John? Was he the guy that was at the register?
I don't know the guy's name. It was like it wasn't the manager guy. It was like the assistant guy,
Mm,
like not the main guy, but like
I don't know. I walked in there and Mark came out and he was like talking to the guy that was at the register. He's like, "This is Don." And he's like, "Do you know Don?" And the guy's like, "No." He's like,
well,
He's like-
one of the guys called
he
me
goes-
Don
"Oh, did he?"
at one point. Yeah,
And he goes, "This is the guy that does Air Capital, him and Drew." Drew comes in. He's like, "Yeah, I know Drew." And he's like, "Yeah, this is Don." So anyway, then Mark went back away and I talked for a little bit. Then I came back and I got what I went in there to get, which was the previews.
previews.
And I walk up to the counter and I put it down and he's like, "Man," he's like, "I don't even know if I should charge you for this." He's like, "Let me go see if I can talk to Mark and see if you can, if I can just give it to you." And I'm like, No. I'll pay for it. Like, it's good. Just, you guys, it's only like $3. I know it's not really going to help you, but every little bit helps, right? I'm like, I don't mind paying for it. Here you go. Take my money. Don't go
He
out.
probably thought you
Take
ordered
my
from
money.
him.
He probably thought that's what I think he was saying because he's like, "Well, we should probably just give this to you." And I'm like, "No,
Nope.
no, full price." And he's like, "Well, I'll give you a good discount." And I'm like, "Whatever, dude." I'm like, "I don't
Do
care.
they-
Just don't go into the back room."
Did they give the previews to people who pre-order?
I don't-
I don't get one.
I don't know.
Maybe I need to start trying to buy one
Maybe.
and see if they'll give it to me.
Maybe you should buy one. Then when I forget, you can give it to me.
Yeah, totally. I don't even use previews anymore.
Yeah. It irritates me that I have to do the DC online.
Oh, that is irritating.
But I mean that I have to read the.
I understand.
I'm not technically advanced like you guys. I don't have like big giant iPads and stuff, so I basically do it on my phone. And
You
it's
do
like
have an
this-
iPad in your house, though.
It's this big. I know, but it's hard prying it out of my wife's hands. She's
That's
got
true.
it a lot.
I understand.
But anyway, so a little bit of TV talk.
All right, let's do news first. Walking Dead is ending. Did you hear that?
I did
The
hear
TV
that.
show.
Oh, the TV
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
They're gonna do
But then
one
they're gonna
more
do a
season.
spin-off, so after that.
But they already have a spinoff.
Well, they've got like multiple spin-offs.
Yeah.
But,
They're
something,
doing one more season of the main Walking Dead. That's going to be 22 episodes.
Yeah.
And it's going to come out in 2021 and 2022.
22.
But they're calling it one season because it's only.
But it's
It's
splitting
like a
up.
season and a
That's
half.
right.
So they're splitting it up.
They're splitting it
So
weird.
it's kind of like 2 seasons, but they're shorter seasons.
Yeah.
They're
It's
going to call
not
it
coming
one.
back this year, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
They're gonna
Sometime
air the
before the
end
end
of-
of the year, they're going to air the last episode.
October,
or
they're
whatever.
airing the last episode from last season that never got aired, and they're going to start the next season.
And then they'll start.
Or the
didn't
final
they-
season.
Why didn't they
Yes.
ever air it from last season?
I don't.
Because I think they didn't have it done before COVID shut them down,
Mm,
and so it got delayed.
gotcha. Okay.
Must have.
But then they're going to spin Carol, like so I was saying, Carol and Daryl off into their. Is it Daryl?
They're not
yeah.
getting.
Yes.
Off into their own show.
Yes.
They're not getting along very good though in the show. Maybe
Well,
they'll
That's
reconcile.
probably maybe
they'll
that's what the
reconcile.
show is going to
Maybe
be
that's
about.
what the new show will be about is two warring factions led by Carol.
And then they've got Fear the Walking
Daryl.
Dead,
Yeah.
right? And then they have like a short 2-season miniseries almost show that's like The World. Do you know what that one is?
I don't remember what it was, but yeah, they did have something else.
Cool.
I,
And then
I
they're
thought
going to do
that-
like an anthology Walking Dead series too. But I'm
so
thinking
it's
if
still
they're
a nice big, money maker for them.
I'm out after this thing. I haven't
Did you
even
watch Fear
watched-
the Walking Dead?
I did like the first 2 seasons.
I never
and-
watched
and
it.
then we got away from it. It was okay. It was just
More of
I
the
don't-
same.
too much. Yeah.
Well, they said part of the reason is because they don't have a comic book for source material anymore, so they don't really have much else.
Got 180
They
issues.
burn through all that though. They're in
Yeah.
the
Well, they're
where
in
the
the
comics are at.
Whisperers. Yeah. So
Maybe they should do what the comic book did. They should bring it back, but do it in black and white because it's already in color.
oh,
and the
that's
comic,
brilliant.
they should do it, and then the tagline could be "Watch it again from the beginning
In black and white.
experience it again." Because that's
Well,
what they're doing with the freaking comic book.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's true.
See, here's
experience
the
it
thing.
all over again.
in the comic book,
Like,
though,
if I wanted to experience it all over again, I'd go read my trades or I'd go read my single issues.
I don't know. That color looks pretty cool. I'm a
Yeah.
little. I'm a
Isn't
little
it like
enticed.
$4 an issue though?
Well, yeah, it's
and it's
$3.99.
twice a month.
Twice a month.
And the
Well, they
original
got all
was
the damn
only
material.
$2.99. But they have to pay to color it
true.
and
They've got
print
it all,
it.
so they still have it all. So that's just why I'm saying that they can do it twice a month. All they got to do is
Yeah, he's
Well,
saying
yeah,
that the
no.
production schedule
So,
supports twice.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, because all you gotta do is color it.
that's right.
You're saying it should be cheaper.
I'm saying it should be
So they're
cheap.
just coloring and printing it.
Yeah,
But
I
that's
don't
what
know.
comics
The printing
cost now,
colors,
$3.99.
man, it's more expensive. Ooh. No, but here's the thing: they have all that area. At least he wrote an epilogue,
Yeah.
to it,
Sure.
so he knows. They know where it was going, and it jumped like this, time span. So it's not like they couldn't try to fill in some of
They,
those blanks.
it's not like they
too.
couldn't.
You know,
Ratings
they
are
at least
down.
have more
Ratings are down.
They
and
have more
don't
material
care.
there than they do for their Beyond the.
That would have
whatever-
that would be
what, Fear the
actual
Walking Dead.
that would be actual work though, Scott. They'd actually have to try to figure out.
That is true.
They can't just take.
They
the
would actually
comic
have
book
to
and turn it into
yeah.
a TV show.
I mean,
They
we
have
see
to-
how well
they
that worked
have
out
to
for
start-
Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
right?
They
So-
have to
that's
start
true.
their brains
So,
up and
yes.
go, what could we do with all these characters in this world?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it wouldn't work very well. In ratings down to your point and everything else. I mean, it's kind of, after, a
thought they
decade, it's a little tough to.
Is what they should
Yeah.
do is let it go away and then bring it back like in 5 years on Netflix, and then
Yeah.
everybody will be like, "Ooh,
Yeah, they should give it some room to breathe, but instead they're just gonna
pound
to
it
the
into
ground.
the."
Well, they're still supposed to be making the Andrew Lincoln movies as well.
Are they?
I mean, they're still talking about those, but production hasn't started. So, I mean, by the time you actually get it spooled up and
Will
released,
anybody care anymore?
Once Walking Dead's like on and I'm watching it, I'm fine with it. But like if it never came back, I wouldn't miss it.
yeah, it's kind of
And
one of those
it's not
shows that
like
I enjoy, but it's not like I'm craving it.
I
Yeah.
kind of feel that way about all television. Though.
True. That's because there's so much stuff.
I don't know.
Whatever's there is fine.
Have you been watching The Boys?
Yeah, I have.
That's
I've
pretty good.
I've watched. Yeah, what are they?
But-
4 episodes in, right?
Right, but
so
I'm,
I've watched all 4 episodes. I love the little meme or whatever of showing Stormfront and saying if 2020 was a person. Yeah, that is pretty true.
I haven't watched all 4 of them yet. I've only watched like 1 or 2.
What?
But
No, epic
it's
fail.
irritating me because
Have you watched any of them?
I've watched any boys.
You have not.
You haven't
None
watched
of them?
the
Not
first
even the first season?
No.
Oh my gosh!
Why would I watch the
first
boys?
season is good because it's good, man.
Because it is better than the comic.
All right.
So it is worth a watch.
Barbara, she hadn't watched
Even
it.
Brandy is
Yeah, but your wife
really
likes
good.
darker stuff than mine.
She does.
Oh, yeah.
No, I
Oh,
would definitely
yeah,
not
no.
have Christy watch
Yeah,
it.
that's
but
something you watch
I'm
on
just
your
saying
own.
that
No.
from an overall public type of
I
perspective.
realize it's a.
you know,
I'm
type
sure it's a
thing.
good show and it's quality. I would have to make time to watch it.
That is true.
So when I watched it, the first season when it first came out,
I did too.
but Barbara didn't, and so season 2 came out, and so we're like, oh, I want to watch this, and she's like, but I haven't watched the first one, and I'm like, do you want to watch it? So we ended up, I watched it again,
Okay.
and she watched it, and it's like, I don't know, what 6-7 episodes in after Homelander's done all this crap, and she's just like, I don't like him. It's just like he's an asshole.
Really?
Yes, he is.
Yep.
It's it's just like, yep, that guy's a jerk.
Pretty much. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the second season is really good so far too. And being 4 episodes in, I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I think they found a good way to take the full satire of that comic book. You know, that was so over the top. You know, we just really wanted to push how much gore and just bad jokes and whatever type of vulgar crap we could put in there. And they found that entity in there that goes, hey, what if superheroes were kind of in this real world and part of a corporation, type of thing. Maybe we can do something with that. And so they took that, and while they keep a lot of some of the similar storylines, in a lot of respects, they've tweaked them a bit more
Yeah.
to make it a little bit
Something
better.
different.
Yeah, to make it a bit more, I don't know, good for the masses and not just a full, let's see how vulgar we can be. Now, granted, there's still, gratuitous violence and, I mean, people's heads blow up and it's pretty damn,
It's been a long time since I read the comic, and like you said, it kind of veers. But man, when the CIA director or whatever, her head just exploded like instantaneous. I'm like,
fuck, I didn't see that
I'm
coming
like,
at all.
what the hell?
Oh, shit.
I was like, what?
Me neither. I actually had to rewind it because I think I was like looking at my iPad and I was like, they're just talking in a parking lot. And then all of a sudden, boom, what the fuck happened? And had to rewind. So
But
Brandy's like watching it with me. Her head just exploded. What? But yeah, it's pretty good. But the characters, like I said, are a little bit more than the one-dimensional piece I felt like they were.
I like Butcher. I like Carl Urban. I think
I like Carl Urban. They cast that one well, although his character in the show is I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much kind of like the comic. I guess he's hard to.
To get
like.
Simon Pegg to be the one guy.
No,
Simon
he's his
Pegg is
dad
actually the dad,
The
though,
dad
to the same character.
of him.
Yeah,
But
He's
he
Huey's
looks-
dad.
He looks just like Simon.
Yeah, I
Pegg.
know.
yeah. But
Um,
they actually got him to play the father, and it's Quaid is his.
I don't know. The
I can't
guy's
think of the
name.
first name.
Randy.
but-
It's Randy Quaid.
Yeah, not Randy. But he plays Huey, and he does a
Quaid
really
from-
good job as the character. Being kind of that shy, goofy guy.
It's Quaid from that Mars movie,
That Mars movie?
Total Recall. It's that Quaid.
That Quaid?
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, it's that Quaid.
Did you see that Bendis is ending his
I
Superman
did.
run?
And there's a lot of the article on Facebook that I read. There's a lot of people that are happy about it.
Ooh, yay!
So here's my thing. It's like, if Bendis couldn't make Superman good, then who do you think's going to take over and do something
Anybody?
exciting with Superman?
One of the comments underneath it was, "Here comes Mark Waid."
Oh my God! Please no.
Just like
Bring Mark Miller back. Didn't he do Red Sun or something?
he did do Red Sun. So I have a question about The Boys, though. Why are they doing it? Like Netflix? No. This is quick. So like all
It's
these
the way that
services
they
now, yeah, they're
release it.
releasing it. It's they drop every season all at once now. The Boys, it's every week.
So
Because Disney did it with
Because
Mandalorian,
Disney did it with
is that
now
why?
we're screwed.
that's right. Well, I mean, I don't know that we
Okay,
say we're
Disney.
screwed.
Netflix has said they're not going to do that.
So here's the thing: between Game of Thrones, HBO type stuff, HBO likes to do them once a week.
I know.
Disney Plus likes to do it once a week. they've watched and they see how they can now keep the public
String 'em
thing
out.
going by saying, okay, now we get people talking about this thing for 2 months where we can keep doing merchandising and
I
other
know,
type
I'm
of
with you,
things
Don.
and stuff
Stupid. It's not how
versus
it's
the
supposed to be.
Netflix version of, oh, we dropped it, everybody talks about it for a week and then it's gone.
Yeah, that's what I like.
So that's why they're going the other direction. Oh, but I much prefer the once a week thing, but that's because I'm an old man. So
Not me. But
I don't feel like
I
I
didn't-
have enough time, and I hate freaking feeling like I waste a weekend because I have to stream. Because my wife wants to freaking watch every damn episode, and pretty much I sit there for 8 hours to watch 8
Are you
episodes.
guys
type
watching
things.
Cobra Kai?
I very much
No.
prefer to go
That
once a
looks
week.
dumb.
Oh wow!
No, it's
look, it's
really
Friday.
good.
I can just come in here, just watch 1 hour. Heck, Mandalorian was great, 45 minutes or whatever. I could watch that in the morning before I went to work. Boom, I'm gone.
you've wasted every week since March, though. Really,
What, at home and
because you're
work?
at home.
So
Because you're working from home for the
yeah,
last
that's
9
probably
months.
true.
You're not watching Cobra Kai?
No, I'm not.
This
I got
is the second
it's like
season,
freaking
isn't it?
what, 16 episodes at least or whatever
20.
out there. 20. See, I mean that's
It's
too
two
damn
seasons-
much.
two
If they would have, if
seasons.
Netflix would have released
Are
it
you
once a
watching
week
Cobra Kai?
for 20 weeks, I probably would have watched.
So when it first came out on YouTube, you could get like the first couple free, and then you had to pay. So I watched the first couple, but then I didn't pay. Although I did like it, but I wasn't going to pay for YouTube just for Cobra Kai. Now it's on Netflix. We've been watching it. Yeah,
Well-
it's still good.
it. Is it pretty good?
Then Planet.
Christy like it?
She tolerates it.
Okay.
Planet would have been great for you then because
I don't care
they
about
were
meeting
they
the
were going to
celebrities.
have all of them there.
I don't care about meeting the celebrities, but the
Sure
show's
you
actually
do.
good.
Now you do.
That's good.
You're into it.
The
No.
trailer type thing makes it look good. But
So the
Brandy, I looked
concept-
at Brandy and she's kind of like, eh. So
I
I was
know
like,
the
if
concept
she's
is-
not going to watch it, I'm.
The bad guy's the good guy.
Not necessarily.
No, the concept.
So the concept
Yeah.
is like it's like 35 years later, right? And you know Johnny Lawrence is a loser. He restarts the school because there's this kid who's like getting beat up, and he like asks him to train him and blah blah blah. So it's like he kind of becomes the Mr. Miyagi, but at the same time, Daniel Russo is a super successful car dealership guy, and he's got like,
Right.
and his daughter's rich. So now his kids are like the rich kids, right? Now his kids are pretty good, but his daughter hangs with a bunch of rich kids who are jackasses, like the rich kids were in the first movie, and so he sees that, and you know, so his daughter's friends are the guys who are like the bullies, right? So it's kind of like flipping the script, but yet Johnny Lawrence isn't really a good guy either. He's still kind of like a loser and a jackass, and he is training this kid to help him defend himself, but he's teaching him like Cobra Kai method, like strike first, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's subverting your expectations, and it's like it's this big gray area. Like Daniel LaRusso isn't really totally in the right, and Johnny Lawrence isn't totally in the right. Like there's just like
It
this
is.
sort of
Yeah.
Gray.
gray.
But that's because
and
that's what we like
what's
anymore.
yeah, exactly. So it's interesting
You
because
know,
it's
it's
like
not the back in the
because it's
80s where we
complex.
like to have our hero,
Yeah.
our bad guy, you know, type things. It was expected. Now, you know, everything's gotten grayer and grayer to the point where
so there's a
Cobra
complexity
Kai
to it
works a
that's
little
like
bit.
interesting, and you could tell that they were the initial concept they were running out of ideas because now they've already introduced like a rival like car dealership that Russo is like fighting with or whatever, you know. So it's interesting, but I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I'm only like 4 episodes in.
I would be fine with them releasing an episode a week if they haven't trained me for the last 5 years to get everything right now.
yeah, I can understand that. See, for
'Cause
me, I didn't actually go over to the full streaming type services and whatnot, except for maybe within like the last year. So I haven't been brainwashed into that.
You've only had
And-
Netflix for a year.
Yeah, probably so. I think my kids actually had it for a little bit longer, but I personally didn't have it there for. I think I only had it for about a year. It might be longer. I don't know. Things
So I walked
blur
into this
around.
guy's cube at work the other day talking to him about work stuff. And he's got like a picture of the Cobra Kai dojo and the main guy from the Karate Kid movies, whatever that guy's name is, like sitting there. I'm like, have you watched Cobra Kai on Netflix? He's like, no, I don't have time to watch TV. My kids have Netflix. I don't have Netflix. It's like on the downstairs TV. I don't watch that stuff. I'm like, dude, you literally have a Cobra Kai picture in your cube and like you won't watch the show.
Yeah.
You won't
Oh,
make the
that is-
time.
He just likes Karate Kid.
Apparently. So anyway, that's the world we live in. People are so have so many options to spend their time.
Well, that is
Oh, I
part of
know.
that is a big chunk of it, that we have so many options to spend the time, and things of that nature.
And
I
this
mean,
guy does.
I admit for the longest time I didn't watch any television hardly at all. Between either playing, let's say reading, type things, comics and whatever the heck else, playing some games, be it video or board games. I mean, shit, that left very little time to watch any type of series. That's, I think, why I got more spoiled into the movies, and stuff. Where, okay, maybe I can make this 2-hour time period, do that, type things. But man, to try to invest now into 4 times that for, even though it's only 8 episodes, like you said, I mean, it was that type of thing where it was almost like you felt like, oh, I got to stream every one of them, throughout this weekend, watch it. It's like, oh my God, I got to make 8 hours for this.
That's all the news I have.
There's this cool movie on Netflix.
Oh, I got one more piece
It's
of news.
called The Babysitter, Killer Queen. Apparently, it's a sequel. I don't know. We watched it. It's got tons of like 80s references. It's pretty funny.
So you're saying he will like it?
I don't know. Probably not.
What?
What's your news, Scott?
Mandalorian Season 2 trailer dropped yesterday.
Oh, I saw that. Oh, speaking of trailers, did you watch the Dune trailer?
I did watch that one as well.
I have-
looks
that's
so
what I was
It
gonna
does
good.
look good.
So I was
And
gonna
I
ask you
even
guys
showed
about
it to Brandy there as well because it has Jason Momoa in it. So I know she'll go in.
When is it supposed to come out?
I think December.
Okay.
But it won't come out, I don't think. Or it'll bomb.
Or
Either
it'll
way.
delay or whatever. That
Well,
is.
so Kyle has been talking about it. Several people online have been wanting to read Dune, and none of these people have read Dune, and I'm like,
Who the fuck hasn't read Dune?
who the hell has
I
read
haven't
Dune?
actually read it.
I'm like, I've
I've
read them
just
all
seen the crappy
You read 'em
movie
all?
with Kyle, whatever.
up
the
to
hell
like
his name is.
5.
I only read the first 2.
Up to
I'm
wherever
impressed.
Frank Herbert wrote it. Once his son started taking over,
Yeah,
I
he does.
didn't read any of that stuff. But
Cool.
anyway, so I've been on a Dune kick, so I downloaded. I got the audiobook, so I started listening to the
Oh,
audiobook.
nice.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if I've ever even sat through the entire 1984, like the David Lynch one. So
Oh, really?
I sat down and
Kyle
started to
MacLachlan or
watch that.
something.
That's a fun movie.
It's
If you can,
Sting.
if you've read the book,
everything
it's
else.
a lot better.
Right.
That I believe it's kind of a disjointed, weird thing.
It's a fun exercise in filmmaking.
Yes, I get that, but it's very long and drawn. Dune is a very political book anyway. You know
It
what I
is.
mean? Like, it's
a
politics.
lot of it
There's
is
not
politics.
a shit ton of action. I mean, there is some, but
There's
there's
the
not.
wars and shit of that nature.
But it's really slow moving, and
honestly,
it's
with
Game
Dune,
of Thrones.
it's Game of Thrones. That's where I was going to
pieces
go.
Moving around.
It
It's all this
deserved
other
to be
stuff.
more almost of a series type of thing of
Right. And so
a
I mean,
political.
I'm like halfway
movements.
through the movie, and I'm just like, like it's cool, and it would have been really cool. Like, I can see why it would have been cool, like back in 1984, because it was.
It wasn't cool back then.
Well, no, I know,
It didn't
but
do so well.
no, I understand that, but
You know they sued George Lucas and Star Wars because they stole all their ideas. They had like a list of 100 similarities between Dune and Star Wars. I think.
Dune sued Star Wars.
Yes, Frank Herbert's estate. Whether he was alive at that time, I don't know.
Oh,
Sued Star Wars.
Because
thought
when
you
they
meant
put the
sued.
movie out, Star Wars had come out earlier and stolen
Yeah.
all their thunder.
right.
Because there's like a desert planet.
Yeah, I know you
And
can.
there's like a chosen one.
I
had like a list of like 100 similarities that they listed of how.
I was
like,
sitting
Star
there
Wars
watching that.
ripped off Dune.
I was watching
I'm like-
Dune, and I'm like, this came out in
Yeah.
'84, right? I'm like, yeah, all the Star Wars movies have already come out. I'm like,
That
this
is true.
is like ripping off Star Wars. I'm like, Dune's
The movie.
ripping off Star
You know,
Wars. Like the movie.
There are a few similarities, but they're so superficial. I mean, at the core, they're so different.
Well, yeah, they are.
I don't know how you could.
I think
realistically
movie-wise, though, I
complain.
think visually, like you could see it almost. It almost looked to me like there were a couple parts where I'm like, that's very Star Wars-ish. Like,
Yeah, and I think that was their complaint. is
Visually.
The movie bombed because Star Wars stole a lot of their
Yeah.
thunder.
whatever.
Because people like you were probably like,
Well,
Man, they're ripping off Star Wars.
part of the thing though is I felt like the whole special effects and everything throughout the Star Wars trilogy were better than what you get out of Dune.
Oh yeah,
too.
for sure. I mean, they dropped the thing down out of the ceiling, and you can see it wobble.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going
Like,
with some of that.
dude,
You know,
seriously?
the problem wasn't so much that they ripped off Star Wars. The problem was
Star Wars did it better.
Well, yes, Star Wars was years
Technically
ahead of
ahead,
everybody
yeah.
from a technological aspect.
Yeah,
You know?
from the technical aspects.
That's
Star Wars
right.
buried
So
it.
even though the stories were so vanilla in some respects of good versus evil and whatever else, it was so visually entertaining that it blew everything away for the next even before that, and
Yeah,
still for almost
totally.
probably close to a decade after.
yeah, it took
you
people
know?
like a decade to catch up to that.
That's right.
1978
Well,
Star Wars.
And Dune, like the book, a lot of books are they're like it's in the head.
Yeah,
Like there's a lot of stuff that's
cerebral.
well, yeah, in the
narrated
book,
probably even.
but narrated, and like there's little stuff that you don't pick, that you can't really translate from a book to a movie. But I know that, like, as watching it, because I'm listening to the book and watching the movie simultaneously, so I think they did a really good job, because there are certain things that really felt hammered in the book, and they found a way to either say it, or like one of the things, because Paul has that inner voice or whatever, and so you can use those inner voices to like say things, you know what I mean, like that normally you wouldn't pick up through a book. But anyway, I mean, as far as like the material, it stayed pretty true, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
Dune's a hard book to adapt. That's what will be interesting to see
Right.
what this new adaptation does. Because
I haven't seen the trailer.
But at least
either.
from a trailer perspective, they make it visually entertaining. And
it's
Very
visually interesting. And Denis Villeneuve, the director of it, he's like, I like the old '84 Dune, but I feel like there are things you could have done better. And so that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to make it better.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll get closer to adapting Dune than David Lynch did.
Yep.
Very possible. Looks like he's got himself a pretty good cast there.
It looks good.
So yeah.
I'm pretty excited. I mean,
So I think.
but I
there's
like Dune.
definitely
So I wanted
some
to.
possibilities.
I read the first 2 Dune books, but I haven't read them forever. So I wanted to buy like the nice hardcover of. There's like a nice hardcover version of Dune on like Amazon for like $26. It's like all lavishly like illustrated. I'm like, I'm gonna buy that and reread it.
There you go. You should do that.
You should
Instead
get
of watching
all of
Cobra
it. Isn't
Kai.
there 5? I think there were 5 Herbert.
4 or 5, yeah, Herbert, and then his son took over and did
Yeah.
it too. So, oh well.
I don't remember any of them.
I can't. Well, obviously I remember the first one because I've seen
Right.
the movie, but the second one is fairly vague. The second one felt like it was kind of just a rehash of the first one. a little
It
bit.
could very well be. I don't know. Hopefully,
But yeah,
depending
Cool.
on, I'll probably.
So Mandalorian season 2, excited at all?
I'll watch it.
Did you watch the trailer?
No,
No. Ah,
I'll just watch the show when it comes out.
That's
I'll
probably
see
true.
The trailer
it just looks amusing, type thing. I mean, the trailer
is
does.
the Gina Carano lady, whatever, in it.
She's back in it, although she's
Man, they're
in all sorts
pissing
of
everybody
trouble.
off.
Yeah. Although I also read something where Pedro Pascal or whatever is in a fight with the creators too. So I don't know if that's true or if that's.
I love
just
how all these
rumor.
politics are invading our entertainment.
I know. Why do
Why-
that?
why?
That's exactly
Why?
right. It's because
Why can't we
everybody's
just-
on edge because we can't we got to quarantine and wear masks and crap. So
I guess.
it just pisses everybody off. So we're all mad. But yeah, so I don't know though. But yeah, the trailer wise, it obviously it rehashes some things, but it looks like they get to visit a nice ice planet of some type, and of course back to a desert and a water planet and things. And
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I don't need to see the trailer.
but you don't need to see the trailer. Yeah, I mean, even when it comes to that, do they really need a trailer? I have no idea. But
With a
it's
show
still-
like that, the difference between a show and a movie is like I don't really know how I didn't really have an idea of how the Dune movie was going to look visually, right? because I hadn't seen anything. The Mandalorian, I've already seen a season, so
That's
I kind
right.
of know
So
what
you
to
already have
expect.
a
So a trailer of that isn't really showing me anything other than stuff that I'm already gonna.
That's right. That I was going to watch
See.
anyway.
But like
Yeah.
the Dune trailer is exciting because I'm like, well, how's it gonna look? You know, what's the theme or what's the tone gonna be? You know,
Yeah.
get a feel for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And overall characters involved and things of that nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I understand. I mean, with a lot of times, it's the way it is with a lot of trailers for movies. You don't know really what to expect. They're trying to give you a little bit of
A taste
taste of things, plot-wise.
to
maybe,
see if I'm
whatever else.
excited about it.
That's right. So to give you some idea if you want to watch it. You know, with some of these other things, you know, hell, did Marvel really need trailers for any of their movies, you know, for the latter half of their cinematic
still got to
universe?
get people excited. I mean, you don't just make
Yeah, well, like the Black
Quite
Widow.
honestly,
just
I
make-
think they were just
You don't just make $2 billion.
quite honestly,
sitting
if
on
they
your
told me
laurels.
Captain America Civil War, okay, I'm there.
Yeah,
You know?
that's true. They don't really need trailers. But some people do.
But yes, for certain ones, possibly for like say a Captain Marvel or you know when they're introducing a character, maybe you needed
Or
something.
even
like
Black
that.
Widow, I wasn't sure what that movie was going to be. Like,
Yeah.
I knew it was a Black Widow solo movie. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah.
You know.
Did you buy Mulan?
I did.
Did.
Did you? Wow.
Yeah.
Good job.
Did you watch
for
it?
you.
No.
I've seen it.
No.
I
you
did
buy
watch
it?
it. Maybe.
I haven't seen any of the live action.
What?
I haven't watched any of them either.
What? Neither one of you guys
I
have?
have no
Holy
I haven't
crap.
seen.
interest.
I haven't seen Lion King or Aladdin. I think I kind of saw Cinderella because people were watching. And I've seen Beauty and the Beast in the because other people were watching.
Okay. I've watched them all.
I have no interest.
Jungle Book's probably the best of them all.
I haven't seen Jungle Book.
Jungle Book I really liked.
I have no interest in watching a live action remake of an animated movie.
You know, you'd think that, but Jungle Book's
I
really
do
well
think
done.
that.
So what did you think of Mulan?
I liked it.
I mean, it was decent,
I thought
right?
it was pretty good. I mean, it's not
Well
here
done.
again though. It's probably not as good as say like the animated one, but because it's mainly it's got like a different tone. You know, I mean, it
Yeah.
feels very Asian in
Sure.
what they're doing there, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And I like the fact that they did something that was different. You know, and whatever else. You know, for my overall taste, you know, and things, there were some things that were just kind of like you could feel it wasn't maybe as the cut and dried American storytelling type of method of things. But I still found it visually, it's incredible. The cinematography and stuff, and very colorful. And, but you know, the acting's a little maybe wooden in some parts. What is it? Donnie Yen? I think. Whoever plays the trainer there type thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, he brings it. He's always good. I mean, he's flipping around that sword so freaking fast. They like have to slow down the damn camera so that, you know, do it in slow motion so you can actually see that he has a sword in his damn hand. But
So since we were paying $30, I wanted to do like a movie night for the family, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we did like a movie night, and so we made a time when everybody could sit down and watch it at one time or whatever. And so like I have, you know, Julia's like 9, Emma's like 17, and Zach's 14.
somewhere in between. Yeah.
And so it's like we could all sit down and enjoy that movie at the same time and get something out of it. You know, so that's what's cool about that movie is that it appealed to my 17-year-old and my 9-year-old and my 14-year-old. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was a good family movie that kind of appealed.
Although Mulan, as a Disney princess, has the highest body count of like any Disney
Yeah, so I mean it had
Holy
like cool
shit.
action, but yet it had like a
She
princess.
like kills like the entire freaking forces of Mongols or whatever the fuck they are. You know,
Yeah.
like,
So I mean
oh,
I think that's why I
so
thought it
he's
was
letting
well
his
done.
9-year-old see this thing with his sword. Oh look, yes, it's okay to stab people in black. You know,
Right.
as long as they're wearing black.
As long as they're in black.
Right, because black's evil.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wearing black.
Yep, you're in trouble.
So,
But
anyway.
yes, I can understand. It kind of brought back the traditional movie night. You know, type
Yeah, like, I mean
And quite frankly, for $30, it was probably cheaper.
and that's
say,
what we
than
kept
taking-
telling ourselves. It's like, well, it's 30. It's cheaper than if we all went to the theater.
That's
to
right.
see it.
And you get to watch it as many times as you want. You know, for the next
we won't watch
for
it.
whatever type things for the next couple of months.
Yeah, it's never gonna watch.
Once again, we don't really do. Do people still rewatch movies? Now?
Oh my god, I've watched like Hamilton like 15 times. I don't know about that, but maybe 4 or something.
like-
but and I don't really.
There's
watch
always
it. I just
something
put
new
it
to
on
watch,
there.
so it's
So-
so hard to watch.
That is
old
true.
Stuff.
That
There's
is
always
true.
something new.
That is very true. You are right.
I mean, I've been
rewatching
rewatching old
something-
stuff because my wife gave me like a scratch poster with like 100 movies that you're supposed to watch, and so I've been going through the poster. But
Yeah,
other than that, I probably wouldn't be rewatching a all these movies.
You're right. I don't think I don't know the Star Wars stuff, because
Well, yeah, Star Wars. maybe.
Marvel is a good example, of
Correct.
some to maybe
I've seen Thor
rewatch.
Ragnarok like 20.
I was gonna say I've seen Ragnarok probably a good half dozen times,
But is that 'cause,
especially
like,
with the
you're-
fact that
is that
Disney
'cause,
Plus
like-
came out and it was 4K to boot, so I can throw it on my 4K television even in the background. I don't have to watch the whole thing, and it's just like, oh, it's still gorgeous.
I don't have 4K.
I'm jealous of these people who have visual acuity that they can actually appreciate 4K.
I don't know if I appreciate 4K, but compared to my upstairs television that's a 1080i type of thing,
Yeah.
and going to the 4K, there is something crisper about
Is there?
that.
Okay.
Yes,
I
you
can't tell.
can kind of see that, and maybe it's just because my
I saw,
brightness
like,
on the television is turned.
When I
who
went
knows?
from regular,
from
TV
480p to 1080i or something like that,
Oh my
or 1080p is incredible.
we
Yes.
bought that first TV and plugged it in and sat down, and I just looked at my wife and I'm like, we should have done this a long time ago because this is amazing.
Yeah.
And like, you can't tell the difference between like a DVD and a Blu-ray.
Real?
Huh.
Well, that's
Can you
because your
tell the
eyes are
difference
shit.
between like a cassette tape
Yeah.
and a CD?
listening?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that's
Okay.
audio. We're talking visual.
Right?
Yes, he was trying
Same
to make
concept.
an example between the audio and the video type of
Yeah.
thing. A similar
Well, so
concept.
here's the thing.
Tell
Here's the
the
thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. So, I mostly watch TV upstairs in my living room.
Uh-huh.
So my TV is 60 inches.
Mhm.
I'm about 14, 15 feet away from that. That is not ideal viewing distance.
Hmm.
So I'm far enough away from the TV. Like if it's a Blu-ray or a DVD, I don't really care because
You
it looks
probably
about the
wouldn't
freaking
notice it.
same.
Yeah, especially with your bad eyes.
Okay.
Exactly. I don't have that good eyes anyway. And my TV is so far away and my screen isn't big enough that
God damn, you are an old man.
it's the same shit, man. I'm like, I go to the video store. I'm like, the DVD's cheaper than the Blu-ray. Cool, give me the DVD because
I mean,
I can't tell
wow.
the difference.
I bought the
I
Blu-ray.
just say no. I want the digital copy.
I'm just saying.
Man.
Now this TV, if I sit there, I'm a lot closer, and it's pretty big.
Yeah.
You can probably tell a little bit of a difference.
Yeah. Well, I do admit that I have a 70-inch television, and I probably set
About that distance.
Yeah, so I mean that distance
So, yeah, you
there
can
is
probably
probably
tell
about
the
10
difference,
foot, or
Yeah.
so, 10 to 12 foot.
I sit like
And yes,
3
it's-
feet away from my 60 inch.
You can tell the
TV.
difference.
It's like-
So,
Cool.
but yes, so
It's like
rewatching
surround.
movies. There are certain movies in which I probably will rewatch, but it's not so much that you're sitting there watching the whole thing. It's probably one of those things where you have a background noise type of thing, or
Oh,
whatever the
gotcha.
heck else, or
I'll
I'm
watch
doing
it.
something else while I'm doing it.
I watch Escape from New York every day of the week.
Every day
Oh,
of the
really?
week.
Wow. There you go.
Movies.
Goddamn day of the week, dude.
Okay, but not Escape from LA.
No.
All right, let's talk about some comic books. What do you guys got?
Sounds good.
I already,
Okay.
did, I already did one. I did Collapse.
I have finally read Sandman.
Are you done
went
with
back
it?
To Sandman?
I am not. I still got the damn wait to do. So, the kindly ones. This is like the penultimate climax of the whole thing, pretty much. And so this is like number 9 out of 10. I think. if I'm
9
right.
out of 10. Is
And
it
so-
really 9 out of 10?
I believe so.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Did you talk about World's End? I don't remember you talking about
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I did.
that. They all run together.
So they well, yeah, they do in their different ways.
This is a thicker one.
Oh, it's huge. It's like 13, I think.
It's a freaking monster.
13? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
I think it's 13 chapters. I think so, which I think is 13. It was supposed to be 13 issues. So
That's crazy.
it's a pretty big.
As the kids say.
It's a pretty big big one there. It's the biggest of them all there of the graphic novels. And really, this is the end of the story of the Sandman.
Oh,
in a
it
lot
is?
of ways. Yeah. The next one is
The Wake.
10, which is The Wake, which honestly is just like a 6-issue epilogue, to be quite honest with you, in a lot of ways.
Who are the kindly ones?
So here again, it's like Neil Gaiman's done almost throughout the entire series. There's kind of those double entendres or whatever you want to call them, type things, which can be meaning more than just one thing. The kindly ones,
You have Kevin Nolan sign this because he's at Comic-Con.
there you go. The kindly ones in the actual title type of thing is basically that there are 3 witches that have kind of inhabited the entire story, in which they kind of are like I don't know what you put. They're witches throughout time. They know different things. They kind of are almost like police people throughout history, but they're not very freaking nice at all, though. Also, though, the kindly ones could be leading to the fact, though, that those witches have that title, though, of the kindly ones in some respects. But the kindly ones could also be respecting to the fact of Sandman and the host of characters that have kind of came throughout there. The nice thing about this book, though, in particular, is the fact that
Shit happens.
well, no, not really. It's still slow and whatever in a lot of respects of Gaiman type things. Here, but I say slow. Gaiman, you come to appreciate, or at least I do. He's got a certain poetic quality as he flows through this, type thing. He honestly is pretty good with words, but he's very wordy and he just keeps it going. I mean, normally you can read a comic book in 10, 15 minutes or something like that, or whatever the hell else. It's going to take you probably longer than that to read through one of his, just because, I mean, shit, I think in the very beginning there's like freaking 9 panels on each damn page and there's freaking ton of ass words, and type things. And he's so deep, with some perspectives that you're reading stuff and going, he's trying to imbue a sentence with 2 different meanings, in some respects. So you're sitting here going, okay, is that really what he's trying to mean? What is he really trying to pick out in some of this? So it's not as straightforward, say, as maybe what you would expect from some comic books. And I think that's what made it so popular in its time, and things. And it probably still has a little bit of a lasting impression there. Here's my thing. When Sandman came out, probably some of the best writers before that, were maybe Morrison, I think was maybe in that period or something like that. Was he after as well?
Pretty well.
Yeah, I thought he was around that same time area. So
same era.
So maybe
as
and Miller
Gaiman,
and things.
He didn't have a
things.
name like Gaiman did back then.
probably Miller or
That
more.
maybe probably more Miller and more. Yeah, you're right. And so, the writers, I guess, at this point in time, when Gaiman's coming in, and probably then Morrison maybe thereafter, we're just really starting to make their stride, I think in some of those respects. And now, some of the writers are, really some big names, and things and draws, and stuff. So, I guess where I'm going with that is the fact that Sandman at his time, and even several years after, I mean, I read this probably a decade after it came out, and it was still a very strong book in the comic book community, type things, just because you still didn't have those real strong writers that came, maybe a little bit afterward. And, now we have very strong writers all over the place, through our comics. And so rereading this takes a little bit away because, so much of what made the Sandman great was the fact that it was using the comic visual medium with a great writer, book writer, to tell a really difficult, in-depth story. But that's almost happening on a regular basis anymore, type stuff.
Oh yeah,
That was influential.
Yes, very influential because of that. And now I'm feeling like, like I said at the time when I read it, oh man, I still thought it was really strong. Now you could tell it's kind of aged, type of thing, and more in particular. Now some of that is because of the fact that he does tend to take the story taking place, in the 80s and 90s. But some of it is just the fact that what was so original and take of it before, now others are picking up the mantles and doing maybe better stories in this medium and things like that.
Well, I went back and watched Citizen Kane recently, which was a very innovative film at the time.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. Like, it was super influential, and it did some really innovative things. But since then, films have done the exact same thing, so it doesn't look as innovative and influential as it once was. Like, I guess the big thing there is he shot ceilings. Like, I guess before that time, like, nobody ever shot the ceiling, but he did, and it made it look more realistic and more immersive. And it's like, all right, I've seen lots of movies with ceilings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the same kind of thing. I mean, Gaiman did some innovative things, but a lot of people have done similar things.
That's right. A lot of people have taken other different innovative things, probably because of what he's done.
Yeah,
especially
definitely.
because, a lot of what he's doing was taking classic mythology, concepts and other things, and interweaving them throughout a story that's almost, still taking on some, maybe in a superhero world, even in some cases, but yet taking mythology, just ideas in general, and trying to make something that was, almost a tale of not only supposed to be tragedy, but, of just life, love, and death in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's where the kindly ones end up. Is it's spoiler alert if you haven't read something that's been out there for 30 freaking years almost. But
Spoiler
but
alert.
Shit, I was saying, man.
there you go. I mean, Sandman, basically Morpheus, that character dies, and the mantle passes on to another child that was born in the dreaming realm, Daniel. But it all builds up to that. Some of what happens, that's the thing. There's no real big battles though throughout this. There's a couple of things that die and characters that you got to like, and things that maybe have perished. But at the end, Morpheus dies, and quite frankly, Morpheus probably wasn't the strongest of characters in his story, in general.
Yeah.
You did like him, but he had a lot of problems.
He was kind of like the straight man.
Yeah, but he was, especially for that time, they were trying to imbue a lot of your so-called heroes in that gray area, type of things. You had the Dark Knight Returns, in which Batman was a bit in a gray area, and things. A lot of what Alan Moore was doing was experimenting in that type of thing. Here again, Morpheus, man, he could be a real asshole to people and hardly has any feelings. But on the flip side, he was kind of almost trying to become more human, what we consider in some ways, and now that he's finally getting to that point, oh wow, you go on off him. But some of it was the fact that he kind of had lost some of his responsibility from stories that started earlier in this series. I mean, one of the better ones I think out of this whole thing is the Brief Lives, where him and his sister Delirium basically go on like a road trip to try to find destruction. I think that may be the strongest one out of the whole thing, because while and some of that is because that's maybe what I like, it's a little bit more lighthearted, but yet at the end, it still pulls, I don't know when I say pulling the heartstrings, but it gets to an end that's a bit more tragic, type things. But some of it it's still in weird ways a happy ending, even though somebody dies at the end of it, type things, and they really don't even accomplish what the hell they were after. It still wraps up in a fairly satisfying conclusion. So, with that, then, where he's leading on to here, your character then of Morpheus has been built up through some of those experiences. So you do feel a little bit more for him, especially with his sister death, and stuff, and what he's built, with the entire Endless throughout the series. So, like I say, it's understandable why it's so well regarded in things. I mean, really, Gaiman is a bit of a poet throughout this whole thing. He has a literary mind that stretches so deep into so many different areas and things, and there's layers upon layers that I will never understand throughout this thing. But on the flip side, it is starting to show its age, because of the writers and stuff that I think that are out there now, and things, and especially over the last decade that have come into this medium. So it's true.
Cool.
Nice.
Woo! Fond mod. What are you talking about?
I'm gonna bring it down into the bottom of the underworld.
Why did you buy this?
Because
Prison Pit.
Prison Pit.
Interesting.
It
Stands up very well because it's very thick.
is very
thick. Holy crap! What'd that take you?
No, because it
It
took
took me about an hour to read it.
An hour?
There's
Yeah.
very few words.
I was like,
Mostly
man,
pictures.
I'm gonna sit down. This book's gonna be like a couple days, and I was done like in an hour with it.
Wow.
So I found out about this book.
Why?
I was listening to 11 O'Clock Comics,
Oh,
and
sorry.
Vince was raving. It was like their year-end review thing, and this
Almost
was
has
put
like a
like
Star
on.
You
David
can't
on the
trust
front or
Vince.
something.
This was well.
That dude's crazy.
That dude is crazy, and this is a crazy book, but it was all right. I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it.
How much was this book? $1,000?
I enjoyed it.
It was probably 30.
$40.
40.
I enjoyed the first half of it more
Oh.
than I enjoyed the second half
Not
of
good
it.
for $40.
But anyway, so basically, I don't even know who the dude is that created this book, drew it. should probably give him a shout out. Like I said, I've never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it until I heard
Johanna
Johnny.
Ravon?
Johnny.
Johnny.
It's
Johnny
spelled weird.
Ravon.
See?
Johnny Ravon.
Johnny Ravon. So
Prison Pit.
I heard about it, and then it was through Fantagraphics, so I kept checking the previews, and then they said that I heard somewhere or something that they were coming out with a collected edition. So I'm like, well, I'll just wait and buy the collected edition. So
This was
I bought
serialized?
this. Huh?
This was serialized?
I think so. I think it came out in like issues.
How many issues?
I don't know. There's like 12 or 13 chapters. 14 chapters, maybe.
Wow.
So that would be a bargain, because if it's coming out from Fantagraphics,
It's probably like $6 an issue.
they're probably like $6 an issue. But anyway, so this book is interesting. It got a little too crazy for me. I could understand why Vince enjoyed it because it does get pretty gory, and there's a lot of phallic stuff
He does
going
like
on.
phallic stuff. doesn't
Yeah.
he?
But so the gist of this book is, which it's very simple, very basic. There's a character, and I don't even remember his name. I don't even know if he has a name. But there's like this prison planet. I guess it's like a planet. I assume
With a prison on it? That's a whole prison?
a whole planet that's
That's
a
a
prison.
prison?
It's
Wow.
kind of like Escape from New York, except in the future, and it's like a whole planet instead of just one little thing. But anyway, so this spaceship shows up and it drops this tube down on this planet, and there's this guy and there's the two guards, and they're like, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And he's like, I'm doing it the hard way. And he grabs one of the guards, and they fall down this tube, and they land on this planet, and they're in this prison planet. And he's there, and then he fights with the guard. The thing about this book is,
Is that the whole book, just him fighting with the guard?
no,
Is that half the book?
that's like maybe the first chapter.
Oh, okay.
And so, but the thing with this book
The
is
thing with this book is
that the main character
has no arm.
he can just think he's dead. It's almost like Dragon Ball Z. Like, he just gets the entire shit beat out of him.
Neither of us had watched Dragon Ball Z.
And then he's fine. Like, he comes back. Like, you can't kill him. And then he encounters several people in his journey across this planet, and they're the same way. Like, he'll cut their head off, and then, like, they're like, haha, but I'm not dead. And then these tentacles will come out of the neck, and it's like a second incarnation of this person. And so they have to kill, like, gut them, and then pull their intestines out, and then chop the intestines apart, and then dismember them, and rip them in half, and then drop a boulder on them, and then they die.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really kind of crazy, kooky out there. Like, there's all these different, like, you know, like, different... Where was the... There's one guy in there, I can't remember his name, but it's pretty hilarious. But there's all these different... They're kind of humanoid, but, like, they're kind of like Eric Larson characters, you know what I mean? Like, open face head, and there's just all kinds of different characters. So, he finally gets rid of the guard, and then he's walking along, and there's like this little, it's like a slug looking thing, like a, I don't know, like a caterpillar or whatever, and he's licking like a puddle of goo or whatever. And so the main character picks the thing up and like rips it in half and like throws it away or whatever, and then these three guys come up, and he's like, the main guy, he's like, that was my whatever it's called, slug. He's like, this is my territory, from there to here to there to there. This is my territory, and that was my slug. And this slug is like, whenever they
Does
have,
he then fight that guy?
yes, he fights
Oh.
all three of those guys that are in that group. But so
I've seen a trailer.
because he's like, you need to go get me another one of these things, because whenever the thing eats whatever it eats and then it poops it out, it's like a drug, and that's like how that planet,
It's like the spice.
it's like
The
the spice,
spice.
it's
Yeah,
like
that's
the
what I was
Dune
thinking.
spice. And so the guy's like, you need to go get me another one of these. And he's like, I'm not going to go get you another one. So he fights those guys, and then he ends up losing his arm, and that slug thing like crawls into his arm and like becomes part of him. And so then he goes on another adventure, and then he runs into some other people, and then they get into a fight, and then this happens and keeps happening and keeps happening. And then towards the end of the book, you find this this one guy tries to escape. He acts like he's going to help him, but he's really just using him to create a hole in the atmosphere or whatever that then he flies a spaceship through because he thinks he can escape this prison pit planet or whatever. And then it all turns into like
there's a lot of pages of
there
this.
is
I love this panel of
pages.
oh wow, 4 panels.
Four
all
panels
black.
of dark.
Yes.
4 panels of black, and then you get a full page.
It's a full
of black.
page of black, but I just found the 4 panels in particular kind of
Right, let's break this into 4
4
panels.
It's gonna be all black, but I'm gonna do 4 panels.
4
and then we do a
panels of
page, a
black.
splash page of just black.
It's not bad. Like, I didn't hate it, but it wasn't like the best thing I've ever read by any stretch of the means. But
It
it's
wasn't?
kind of cool. I mean, it's different. It's whatever
I
you
got
call
a
it,
book for
like
you.
artsy, whatever. It's a different type of comic book. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a superhero comic book.
It is.
It's
You could
not-
definitely club somebody with it.
You could definitely club somebody with it.
yes.
So I did
definitely
enjoy
hurt
it.
if
The
you
end,
threw it at me.
I didn't really like the way it ended.
Luckily, it
It
only
just-
took you an hour.
Yeah, I know. It just didn't seem to really fit in with the character. I mean, it does sort of, but after reading the book and going along the journey, it just didn't make any sense. But anyway, I would actually kind of recommend it. Not to everybody, because it does get into towards the end. There's a lot of
So not for
penises.
kids.
No,
Not
for
it
children.
gets into throwing penises
There's
or
like
some
a
crap
big
into
giant
people's.
like crystal thing, and then he has to. That's the way he like works the spaceship. He gets this spaceship, and he has to basically this hole opens up, and he has to fuck the spaceship to get it to fly. So he's like banging
Wasn't
the
that how all
spaceship.
spaceships
but-
were?
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
I
exactly.
thought that's what spaceships were.
It's kind of like it reminds me almost a little bit of
Spaceballs?
of American Barbarian, just
Oh, yeah.
because it's so kind of kooky out there. You know what I mean? Like when we read American Barbarian, it was more on the comical side, but you know, it was just like whatever, the dude that had tanks for feet.
Sure,
you
sure.
know, it's like kind of crazy out there like that, but. American Barbarian was kind of toned down. This is just ramped up to like 1,000 or whatever. But I don't know. I mean,
You don't know?
you might
I'd probably like it.
like
Drew
it.
probably would.
I think you'd like it.
I don't think I
mean,
care.
I don't
No,
know.
I know Scott doesn't care, but I mean, there's a lot of blood. There's a lot of guts and a lot of dismemberments. There's a lot of
It doesn't look that interesting to me.
huh?
Doesn't look that interesting to me.
I don't know. I think
But it's
you,
alright. I'd probably dig it.
I think you dig it. It's I don't know. It's like you listen to.
I don't know. You said
well,
that 10 times.
I know. I listen to a lot of the cartoonist kayfabe, and I listen to I used to listen to a lot of the 11 o'clock comics, and it seems like at some point a lot of people are like, yeah, I grew out of Superman or I grew out of Spawn, and then you fall into like the Charles Best stuff, or you fall into like excuse me, like Black Hole, or you know what I mean, or like Cerebus, something that's a little bit more cerebral. I'm not saying this is more cerebral, but this is definitely not like Superman. It's kind of like just a different flavor of comic books. I mean, it's still comics, it's just different, and so I think that's kind of cool. Well, yeah, like Sandman, but no, this is not.
It's not a
It's
nice
not.
quality.
It's not
yeah.
Sandman quality,
That's
but
right. Yeah.
but I mean,
It's a different type of scenario, though.
Yeah, it's like there's all kinds of different comics out there. It's almost like the black and white craze of the '80s and stuff. But anyway, it's if you're looking for something different, and you're not queasy, then I would recommend Prison Pit.
Prison Pit.
Prison Pit.
Don
It
recommends
is not for everybody.
Not for everyone.
It was enjoyable.
Wow.
I read God Country.
I've heard of this one before. Why is that? Did I just see
Because
it on
I
previews, or
talked
did you
about
talk
it
Don
like
talked about it a long time
16
ago.
years ago.
Was that what it was?
I finally read God Country.
Yep.
It was okay. I think the hype was on it. I don't know why it was so hyped up.
Art's awesome, dude.
I didn't like the art that much.
It's like something Z, right? Who's the artist?
Jeff Shaw.
Yeah, that's right.
I liked his stuff on Thanos better, actually. Thought he grew between this book and Thanos.
It's a cool little story. I mean,
It's a cool little story.
It's kind of.
I almost felt like Jason Aaron should have wrote this.
Yeah.
Because it's like Southern, and it's like gods, and like kind of like old guys kicking ass. And it's funny because now Donny Cates took over Thor after Jason Aaron in his run. I'm like, I can totally see Donny Cates writing Thor because this feels like it could be like a Thor book. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It had it was a little bit of like Southern Bastards, and it almost had like a I Killed Giants kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I can see that.
Kind of mash up.
Yeah, so it was. I mean, it was decent. I think the problem was it's like everybody had kind of blown this book up like it was this great book, and it's pretty good. I think if I'd read it going in cold, I probably would have liked it even more. But I mean, it's still
You
solid.
already know
and
the general,
I didn't really know what it was about,
but it just
but I just knew that it was supposed to be like really hyped up. Like this was kind of like I almost liked that other book that Donny Cates did with Daniel Warren Johnson better. What was that one? The Ghost Fleet or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I'd almost take that over this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But maybe it's just because that book surprised me and this book didn't as much.
Have you seen...
But it's still pretty solid. Like I said, I
Right.
think Scott Shabara will read it and let us know what he thinks.
Have you seen
Now that I've lowered expectations.
Now that you've lowered the expectations, Scott will love it.
Exactly.
Probably so. Isn't that how it usually works?
I think so.
Um,
Have I seen? Get your
in
words
the
out.
in the new previews, Donny Cates is doing that book. It's called like the crossover.
Crossover,
That new
yeah.
image. Have you read the solicit for it?
It doesn't really tell you too much.
I know, but it almost feels like it's that Mark Miller and Tommy Lee Edwards, like 1984 or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Like
that.
it totally
It feels a little bit like that.
It feels like that. I'm like, this. I'll buy it because it sounds cool, but
Yeah.
I'm almost like, man, this feels like something I've already read or done. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it'd be different, but it seems like almost the same concept.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
pretty hyped up.
That's got to be like a awesome cover though.
Yeah, I know.
God Country done in
Savage
Dragon
style.
style. Yes.
Savage Dragon style.
It's interesting. So I was looking at the back of that book, and Gerardo Zaffino or whatever did a bunch of concept stuff, and then he did a bunch of covers. Was he initially supposed to do that book, and then
I
he
don't
dropped off, and then Jeff Shaw took over?
I don't know.
That would have been if that book had Gerardo Zaffino doing it. That would have been balls to the wall.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I do like.
I like Jeff Shaw. I thought because Thanos, I read that first, and that came out after. I think he grew a lot as an artist between that book and Thanos, and I like the Thanos book almost better. But
Yeah.
I enjoy his art. But I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
this was like an early version of.
That's
stuff.
a cool little, whatever, 5-6 issue
Yeah, it's 6
story.
issues. It's decent.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, it's nothing bad. It's definitely not bad. It's just I think there's too much hype.
Right, I get what you're saying. That
people-
happens.
But yeah, it's all good. God Country. I'd
Cool.
still recommend it.
Okay, I'm gonna try it then.
Cool.
I enjoyed
Scott's down. All right, what else? I think it's Scott's turn.
it. Scott,
Is it?
You could do Sweet Tooth.
I'll just go ahead and do them both here at once.
Oh, man,
I read
knock him out.
Sweet Tooth,
Is that the
So
whole
the
thing?
ending's good, right?
volumes 2 and 3.
Okay, so
Ooh.
there's
this,
3.
Yeah, so there's 3 of them. I had read the first
first
one last
one.
time, and so now I
Now
read
you're,
the rest of it.
now you're ready
So-
for the new series.
Probably so. Although the way that he words this one, he's like, yeah, is he going to return to this universe?
Yeah, they just listed him.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's like
but-
a 6-issue series.
Wow,
Oh, it's only 6
It's
issues?
amazing because did you read the Lindelof interview at the end?
I think so.
So at the end of the third book, the third trade there that you give me, the hardcover, Lemire gets interviewed by Damon Lindelof, and one of the questions that he asks is, "Are you going to return to there? In any means, telling the story of his kids, whatever else may be." Spoiler there a little bit, but this type of stuff, and he's like, probably not, but I hate to say never because So right now, I've completed the story I wanted to tell. I have other ideas of mind, type things. I didn't plan on it, but it's interesting you do say that then because obviously, and he of course does say never say never.
Yeah.
I need to get that creative juices going again. Before I would return. So
Dark Knight 2. Flash enough cash.
Well, that's true.
I don't think it's for
That's-
cash. Well, isn't there a TV show coming out or something?
They've been talking about a
For
TV
Sweet
show
Tooth?
for
Yeah, I thought there was a TV
the
show.
last 20 years. They've been
Could
talking
be.
about a TV show.
Man, that would be.
That'd be hard.
I feel like it's hard because part of what makes Sweet Tooth to me a good story was the medium I think that it was on though as well.
Yeah.
You know, because it could be the
Cartoony.
character itself. Yes, the character itself is rather cartoony, but yet he's telling a very kind of darker story. Yeah, in a lot of respects. But yet the art of it keeps it a little bit in a lighter place.
It'd hard to
You know,
hit. It'd be
type
hard to
things.
hit that tone in a.
There you
film,
go.
in a
There you go.
Live
man.
action.
Yeah, and that's why I'm just kind of like, ugh, because otherwise you get it dark, and I just don't know, you know, how you do that without being, you know, just almost comically, you know, odd though too. So, you know, in this one, in these two of them, I think at the end of the first one, you know, it's basically, I'm trying to remember. I think they were leading up to the fact that the kids were captured. All these hybrid kids were captured by this place, and they were doing testing on them to try to figure out how to essentially get rid of the disease, you know, that had kind of caused this apocalypse. In 2 to 3, they
Wear a face
basically,
mask.
yeah. In 2 to 3, they basically, the kids break out, they get out, they're going with Jessup, they're going across the country to go to Alaska to try to find out maybe what started this whole virus and trying to see
It was China.
what was in there, you know. No, it was Alaska. So,
No, China started it.
but no, Alaska in this case. So, anyway, that's really where these two go, you know, type things. Is ultimately to a climax that is in Alaska, where they kind of learn a little bit of where the origin of things were. They get into a last battle with some of these humans that had them captured in the cages before for all the hybrid type stuff, and then after that, there's like a nice little epilogue, you know, of where are they now, you know, like a good chunk of time afterward. And it even leads all the way up to, you know, kind of the
end.
Well, that's what I want to say. The end of Sweet Tooth's story.
Go ahead,
you know, type of
spoil
things.
it.
So, but have
What
you,
did you
have
think-
you read the whole thing then?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you think of the explanation of where the virus came from? That like flashback.
The whole Matt Kent arted.
Yeah. Did you think that fit?
Yes.
Okay.
In a big scheme of things, I felt it was okay.
Okay.
I in fact, for where he ended up going at the end, I almost felt that was needed in some respects to help, you know, make that connection at the end. You know, if you would have just dropped me in this ending where, oh, wow, look, they found these weird, you know, gods or whatever at the end, and we put them in test tubes and tried to do whatever, you'd be kind of like, okay, I guess that's kind
So
of
you
odd.
needed that backstory.
But that
kinda-
backstory that he does, you know, through a couple of issues where it's a different artist, you know, but it's telling the story of like some people that come across and encounter the Eskimos and end up intruding in this sacred ground type of thing. It helps get to that point of the ending.
point.
So I liked it, but the problem that I had was kind of like there's a piece there where they get back to the boat and they're sailing across, but yet they have the disease, you know, or whatever the heck else. And he's still writing in his journal, but yet this journal is found by the guys, you know, freaking 100 years later or whatever the hell else. And I'm like, how the fuck did they get the journal? Because I even went back to that because I had the book. I was like, I thought the guy was still writing while on the boat. And sure enough, he was writing while on the boat, you know. So I'm like wondering, they magically find this journal in Alaska, you know.
Yeah.
That wasn't very well explained. But, you know, that's just a minor in nature. I thought overall, you know, it was kind of helpful to try to help get to that point and not be as much of a jump when you got there.
Gotcha.
What about you? What did you think there?
I thought it felt like a little out of place, like kind of pulled you out of the story a little bit. Like maybe it was a little diversion. Like a lot of those books, like you never even find out like what caused it, or it doesn't even matter. It's more about where the story's going. You know what I mean?
And he even admitted that in the first book, that's what he was doing, was more of the story. And to do this, to try to give a bit more of the origin of the...
Yeah, it just felt kind of...
It was kind
It
of
was
interesting.
fine. It was just... it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't my favorite couple issues. I didn't know if it was necessary, but because it kind of took a couple issues and kind of seemed like it slowed down the story and it kind of pulled you out of the narrative a little
possibly, bit. But here again, though, with Lemire, I thought it was very well done, and honestly, I enjoy Kent's art as well. So I overall, I'm kind of with you, because it was this thing which is like, what the hell's going on? I mean, I just got to this point in this other book, and now you're doing this weird flashback. Why do I need that? But as I'm reading it and everything, I found it entertaining, and I got involved with it. And like I said, overall, it was presented so well.
Yeah, it did draw you.
That I did.
I
thought it was good. Yeah,
sure.
And I think that really even leads into, I mean, the fact that, as I was talking about before with, Gaiman and his, writing and stuff, Lemire, obviously not trying to compare him with Gaiman or anything, but, he's a strong writer. Yeah. He has very creative ideas, and, he knows how to pace a story overall, and things. And I just felt that a lot of how things were going throughout this was very organic, of kind of how the story wanted to go. I mean, I admit, though, I knew this book, of it, anyway before and stuff. While I didn't know the ending, I knew, the gist of things a little bit. And I still enjoyed this more than I thought I would, type thing. And I chalk a lot of that up to the writing, and
well, it didn't have a crappy ending.
It did not have a crappy ending, which is, well, I'm not going to say that Lemire does crappy endings,
but they're usually sad.
But Lemire is very tragic, I think, in his endings, in a lot of ways.
And this one, not so much.
And this one, no. It actually had a fairly happy ending in a lot of respects, I thought. So, what did you think about who Sweet Tooth ended up with as his mate, so to speak?
Oh yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah, you thought that was perfect, but did you need that flashback of who the other girl, type of thing that might have been in his life, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that was helpful. I think it was kind of added some,
some depth in there, maybe to the character.
Yeah, that was good.
And what'd you think of Jeopard's boy, Buddy, or whatever the heck else, what he grew up to be? And
yeah, that was an interesting little twist. Wasn't he more, if I'm remembering right, didn't he kind of start to be kind of warlike? Like he was kind of one of the guys
was very
who
much
wanted
like
to be more militant.
Kill the kids.
Yeah, and
not kill the kids, but kill the humans.
Yeah. Which kind of fits with his dad, I guess, a little bit. So I thought that was an interesting twist.
Yeah, I did too.
So,
I did too.
Yeah.
Well, and I found it interesting too. I think that of how that all wrapped up. I admit that epilogue, I think, kind of really was satisfying. I felt in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it was good.
To try to really wrap that whole story up.
So is the new series, because I read the solicit like twice and I still don't get it. Is it like a it almost sounds like it's a retelling of Sweet Tooth, but different.
From a different point of view?
I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't really.
It's interesting that it's only like 6 issues.
I'm kind of disappointed because I have these cool hardcovers and now there's another story.
Now there's another story coming.
What the hell am I going to do with that?
Oh, one thing before I wrap around to that. What did you think of the whole story, though, at the Evergreen and the dam and all that other type of stuff?
Oh, where they
meet
the crazy dude,
the crazy dude with the little walker type things or whatever.
It was fine. I mean, obviously you knew it was going to go that way at some point.
Very true. Very true.
I mean, it felt very Walking Dead-ish, which I don't know which came first or whatever.
Yeah,
but
sure, Walking
Dead. I would agree with that. And to me, I think if there was a hiccup at all, I felt it was maybe some of that, because it felt like it was.
It's almost like they spent too much time there.
Yes, and it was dragging the story.
Yeah,
like it was almost a filler in some respects because of how long it took. You kind of knew where it was coming and where it was going, but yet it still took issue after issue, like he was going.
It seemed really long.
And that maybe part of it was the fact that he was enjoying writing, in some respects of that type of story and background, but it just felt like it was longer than it needed to be for where
they were doing.
Because you knew sooner or later they were going to keep going on the road, and he needed to keep these ones all going. But he sure spent, I felt like a bit of a long time, and all it really was really a filler stoppage. It felt like to almost keep the story going, in some respects.
I agree.
So if there's a misstep that was possibly that, but it's very small in nature because
Yeah,
overall
like all those
that,
little
that,
things, they're just
that
like
whole
little nitpicky
that whole thing
stuff.
was still very entertaining. It was
Yeah.
just like it felt like you spent a bit longer there than you needed to.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, yeah.
But yeah, so the new one, it's like maybe the same story but from a different
I
point of
guess.
view or
I
something.
don't know. I didn't
But yet
get
it's a mini series.
6 issues. I don't know
6
what it's gonna
issues.
do.
Huh.
It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Returning to the Sweet Tooth universe. Huh?
Yeah. Download DC Connect issue 4 and read the solicit.
There you go. Well, if you haven't read the Lindelof,
I read. I think I skimmed it. If
I was going to say you should definitely check it out. I mean, it adds a little bit of a, what do you want to say? Another layer to maybe some of the story, and things.
Seems like Lemire's reading all of his end of the story things. Seems like the stories never go the way he thinks they're going to go in the beginning.
That's probably true too. And it's just funny though. He does say in that one, he says, "I always knew where it ended up, and overall, it ended the way that I wanted it to. When I first started out. Now, things that happened in between were different than what I had, originally thought. But overall, this book pretty much ended where he thought it would when he started it.
Yeah.
And pitched it and things.
I just remember that Royal City book. I know you read that.
Yeah.
He said that was going to go on forever, and then he's like, "Yeah, I got kind of to the 14 issues in. I kind of felt like it was just time to end it." Like,
yeah.
Well, you said you were going to keep it going for like.
But yeah,
a long
what's the
time.
other one? Like Descender or something?
Descender,
right?
he said he was going to keep going, and then he
Well,
said that one.
But that one went in a completely different direction, he said, at some point in
At
time.
some point, yeah.
Yeah.
And he said
And
it
he
went,
goes-
and now he started like a new series called Ascender.
Yeah.
And so it's
And
kind of like
he said at some point in time there with that, he goes, "Yeah, when I thought that I had the wrap up there and everything, then we started talking. And I was like, wow, maybe we can do something else here, and
yeah.
stuff."
So I think his stuff changes a lot as he goes.
yeah, I can believe some of that, depending on where the flow of it is, and things.
Yeah.
His characters take on a life of their own.
They sometimes do.
That's okay.
Writers say that though. And
I
even
know.
the funny thing is, some of the better writers say that, in some respects. I think I don't know.
It's
that
your
I will-
turn, dog.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
'Cause I did God.
You're gonna go with Batman, I
I'll
think,
do Batman then.
because I put it on the top.
Is that the end of Tom King's run? Or are we in a Tinian's run?
Yeah.
Who?
James Tinian.
James
fourth?
Tinian the fourth.
Is that what we're in?
Yeah.
Tinian 4.
So this is pretty much one long story.
Did Alfred die?
Alfred died.
What?
Hmm.
Dude's
Very
got to be like
sad.
freaking 200 years old, doesn't he?
Yeah, so at the end there's like, I bought an issue. It's like the say goodbye to
Who
Alfred
does
or
the
whatever.
covers for these? Are they different people throughout each one?
Tony Daniel, I think, does most of them.
Does he?
I think so. So this is a pretty cool story. Like, I really kind of dug this. I got into it. So, like I said, it's like a 7-part story. So there's this mysterious character. What the hell is he called? I can't remember what he was called, but
Deathstroke?
no,
Oh.
he's a new guy. He's like a new character, but so
The Joker.
Batman. He's a new character.
Punch drunk.
No,
Punch
it's
drunk.
not Punchline.
Yeah.
Punchline. That's it.
I know.
It's not
Punchline, but that's a
Punchline.
girl.
Does he,
But I
does
like
he
the punch
appear in
drunk.
these?
Yeah.
Punchline does look like
Punchline
it.
is-
She does.
Is he like
there was-
90 something?
Yeah, 92, I think.
Yes, right
is
there.
the first appearance of Punchline, or one of the first appearances.
Because back there in the
It's not
background,
91.
Punchline. No, it's 92.
back there in the background, right there, you can see the down over right there. That's Punchline because it's a freaking hair braid thing, I think, or something back there.
But, so, at some
what
point...
the hell are you doing? Why'd you take just that one? Is that like
Because
the?
it's
Gonna be worth
Is that the
money.
one that's going to be
worth
worth like a
money.
freaking
Yeah, 'cause
shit
it's
ton because it's the
Punchline.
first appearance?
Punchline.
But is it the first appearance of Punchline?
I don't know. Is it? That's what I'm
I don't
trying
know.
to figure out.
Now it's like the first appearances on covers now are worth money or something. I don't know. It's getting stupid. But anyway,
Getting stupid?
it's getting way more stupid.
Heck, she was probably on a special cover all by itself on like 91 or something.
fact,
that was
I had
like
a-
variant cover.
Had a
of that.
conversation.
Well, like,
Only
with-
5 were made.
Wasn't there like an ad that Spawn was in there saying that's like Spawn's first appearance because
Yeah.
he was in an ad or something in some
Yeah.
in like
I had a
Wizard?
conversation with Justin, and he was talking.
Oh.
In an ad?
We were talking about the
Oh my
same
God.
thing, about how how like
You don't want to talk about first appearances with those guys.
yeah. You know how like all these other comic book, like a comic book store can commission like a cover.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Punchline, I think it was Punchline. Punchline's first appearance was in '92,
92.
but there was a comic book store that found out about it and commissioned a cover for '91 that had Punchline on the cover.
See?
Oh.
So
Whoa.
now it's like they're saying that this
Is the first appearance.
is the first appearance of Punchline because it was on whatever some comic book store in
But that's just like
Arizona
I think that's just a
commissioned.
cameo.
I don't know, dude. It's getting crazy.
Because
It's
like
getting
it's like Hulk 180 versus 181.
I know.
Like 180, Wolverine's just in one panel at the
Right.
end, and 181 he's in the first issue.
Yep.
The 180 is considered a cameo, is worth considerably less.
Is it really?
Yes. Yeah. By
So his
far.
first appearance is considerably
First
less than
full
his
appearance.
first full.
Yeah. But there was also an
Issue.
appearance of Punchline in like one of those. I think it was like the Joker 80 page. Like they've been doing all these anniversary issues. Like they had the Joker 80th year anniversary. They had like the Robin 80th year anniversary. And I bought the Joker one, and there's a story with Punchline in that. And I don't know if that supersedes Batman 92. But anyway, I don't care.
Of course it
You
does.
don't care. You'll care when it's worth
You'll-
$1,000.
that's
I
right.
care when it's worth $1,000. So anyway,
I don't know if he's gonna take off quite like Harley Quinn.
there's this. It's a her.
Oh, it's a her.
Yes.
Oh, it's the Joker's new girlfriend, right?
Yes, it's a her. Punchline is a her.
Of course it is.
Yes. So there's this character, and this goes back. So I don't know. Like I didn't figure out like I just read Batman. I don't know what happened with like the New 52. Like if they reset the Batman universe or whatever. But this feels like this story takes place years ago, but it doesn't feel like it took place like 50 years ago. It feels like it took like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it took place years ago, but not like a long time ago. So anyway, there's this mastermind guy who's pulling the strings, and he like they've heard of him, like almost like you hear rumors about this guy pulling off like these massive heists, and they don't know if he's real or not. Well, he shows up and he sends an invitation to Catwoman, Joker, Riddler, and Penguin, and so they all go to this guy's house and meet with him, and he takes them. He says basically, you guys are playing the game wrong. He's like, you do a heist or a caper or whatever, and then Batman figures it out, and then he defeats you. He's like, you need to evolve. You need to get like 10 steps ahead of Batman. So like the heist that you pull off has to be like 10 steps ahead of way. You have to evolve 10 places ahead of Batman so that he can't catch up to you and then catch you. And he's like, that's what I do. He's like, so I can make whatever you guys want to do. He's like, I can tell you how to do it and you can succeed. And so he basically takes everybody into the room like on their own and says to Penguin, like, what do you want? Like, what would be your best caper? And he does it to Riddler, and then he does it to Catwoman, and then he does it to Joker. Well, they're all
Joker?
they all go in there, and then the Joker goes in last, and the Joker comes out, and he basically mindfucked that guy. Like, the Joker flipped it around on that guy and like turned that guy crazy or whatever. So anyway, long story short, they never did any of them or whatever. But Catwoman's was basically she wanted to pull off like the biggest bank heist. Like she wanted to find out who the richest people were in the world, steal all their money, and then she would have all of their money, and then she could do whatever she wanted to. So they set this up to where this guy comes back, and so Catwoman is like with Batman now, like they almost got married, like they're in a relationship together, and she hadn't told Batman about any of this. Well, that guy reappears, and then Batman's like, well, what the hell's going on? And she's like, well, there's something I have to tell you. And so she tells him that they all four met together and they plan to do all this stuff. And so Batman is like, so the Joker is like on the loose, on the run. And so he's like the guy behind this.
Wasn't Bane behind it?
No, Bane was
That
behind
was
the
the
thing
Tom
before
King
that
story.
killed the Tom King story. He's the guy.
Hmm.
Bane killed Alfred.
This is a news story.
This is a news story.
Similar to the
And
old
it's kind of
story.
cool because it like goes back and it ties into stuff. But so,
Put that thing in
long story short, Catwoman is like, she's like, I know what I can do. She's like, I'm gonna go get all this money, and then because at the same time, Bruce Wayne is like, because after Bane took over the city, like a lot of the city got destroyed or whatever, and so Batman is basically rebuilding Gotham. Or Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne is rebuilding Gotham, like in Bruce Wayne's image. Like he's building all these different towers. Like he's just rebuilding Gotham, which is kind of a big deal, like in the story. So anyway, Catwoman goes. So she's gonna go and get all of the money because she thinks that the Joker is after the money or something, and so she goes to steal all of Bruce Wayne's money. And she's gonna put it into like a secret account or whatever, so that it's safe.
Yeah.
Well, the Joker is like
safe.
the Joker is like 5 steps ahead of her. So when she goes and she takes the money, he intercepts it. So now Joker has all of Bruce Wayne Enterprises money. So Batman is broke, and so the Joker is like, I have all of your toys now. I have all of your Batcave shit. I've got all your stuff. I have everything. I have all of your money. And so this is what's leading into what's called the Joker War. Because that's what starts right after this. Everything's
I thought
leading
that was
into
the
this
war
huge.
between Harley Quinn and Punchline.
No, no, it's all leading into this Joker War. So this is all kind of set up. But I thought it was cool. I really enjoyed it. And then the Alfred story, the Alfred issue or whatever, is just like remembering Alfred. And so they bring all of the. So they have a funeral. They don't really have a funeral for Alfred. Do you want this?
No, the stray bullets. I just want to hear his opinion on it.
And so the Alfred issue.
Stop talking.
The Alfred issue is. You guys talked about Sweet Tooth for like 30 minutes.
You were
And I
talking
didn't say
too.
anything.
I tried to pull you into
I'm
that.
done.
We're talking about the
So
Alfred
this is
issue.
what always happens. I try to talk, and then you guys say, well, he talks forever. He talks too long. And then I just give up. So talk about what you
No, I
want to
want
talk
to hear
about.
about Alfred.
No, you have to read it. I'm not telling you about it.
Is it an epilogue
Yes.
type of thing?
Mhm.
And it's trying to wrap up with the fact that he died?
No, it's fine, great. Now you're gonna make me talk about it.
Yeah, talk about it.
So they
Yeah, what is that? Oh, this one. Yeah.
Batman
that's,
Pennyworth R.I.P.
R.I.P.
So it's like a special issue just to kind of have like a epilogue type of thing?
Yeah, Alfred was kind of a big deal. Like he's been around for fucking ever. So
that is
he
true.
died, and so
I hope they bring him back as a robot.
yeah, they probably will. He probably won't stay dead forever. But anyway,
It'd be hard to bring him back.
Batman, they never really had a funeral for him, and none of the whole Bat family, because they're all spread out now. I don't even know about it, because I don't read anything except Batman. But you've got,
And
like,
Detective.
well, Batman and
But
Detective.
that's Batman.
But you've got, like, Damian, you've got Nightwing, you've got Jason Todd, who's Red
They
Hood.
don't have
You
their
have,
own book.
yeah, they all do.
They all do.
Yeah,
No,
Nightwing has
Nightwing
his own
does.
book. Red Hood has his own book, I
Jason-
think.
Well, you get the Batgirl type
Jason
thing
Todd,
too. Don't
you have
you?
Batgirl.
Damon doesn't have his own book, does he?
No, Damian doesn't.
And the other Robin.
But Damian-
Red Robin? Does he have his own book?
Yeah, I think so. At one point. I don't know. But Damian is the reason why Alfred is dead, basically.
He killed
Because,
him.
well, no, he didn't kill him, but
Oh,
he
there's
got him
something
killed.
else.
Damian's just a jerk.
He's
Well,
a jackass.
So Bane took over Gotham, and he captured.
Again?
Yeah, and he captured
Wouldn't
Alfred,
they learn?
and
the
he
first
told
time?
he told everybody to stay out of Gotham. If any of the Bat family came into Gotham, he would kill Alfred. And Damien thought that he was hot shit and that he could pull it off. So he snuck back into Gotham and went into the manor, the Batcave, or whatever to try to rescue Alfred. And Bane found out and caught him and killed Alfred in front of
That
Damien.
stupid Damien.
Yeah.
Hate that kid.
So it wasn't really his fault, but everybody else thinks that it's his fault. Like they get, oh, you got Alfred killed. But anyway, so they never really had a funeral. None of them
Well,
have
if
ever
Alfred wouldn't
really.
have got caught by Bane in the first place. I mean, come on.
None of them ever had really come back together since Alfred died. They've all been out on their own. And Batman, Bruce Wayne is lost without Alfred. Like he's just meandering. Like you know what I mean? Like he's lost. Like he was when his parents died or whatever. So anyway, he dedicates a hospital or whatever in Gotham to Alfred, and then Alfred wrote like a letter, or in his will, they read his will, and Alfred said, I want all of the family to get together for one night and just be together. That's my dying wish. Like, that's what I want. And so they go to this bar, and they're supposed to all hang out. And, of course, they're all fighting with each other. But then each one of them tells, like, a little story about how Alfred was there for them, or, like, whatever they did. And so, like, they go... It's really kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of cool. I liked it. But... So, like, each one of the characters...
So, that's good to hear, though, that you liked it and stuff. Because you've been a long-time reader of Batman, you know, and things.
Yeah.
So they did it well, then?
No, I didn't cry.
Not even a little bit?
No, yeah, they did it well.
It was a nice...
But it was also, like, I'm assuming that it's stuff that was never in a comic book. Like Damian Bruce got pissed at Damian and said, "You're grounded. You can't go out on patrol for like 2 weeks." So Damian sneaks out of the house and goes on patrol, and then he gets in trouble, and then Alfred shows up.
Yeah.
And like helps him. Same thing with like Jason Todd, and then same thing with like
maybe he hadn't been enabling Damian, he would have got him killed. So it's kind of Alfred's fault that he got killed.
Right.
Well, we all thought it.
Alfred's
fault that he got himself
Well,
killed.
Alfred still reprimanded him. He's like, "You're still grounded." He's like, "But I'll keep it between like Master Bruce doesn't need to know."
If he had told Batman, then
but
maybe
anyway,
he would have learned his
lesson.
lesson.
So it's like 3 or 4 or 5 little stories of one little way that Alfred like helped them when they were coming up, whatever the Robins were or whatever. So anyway, I enjoyed it. It was a nice little
tribute there type thing. Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Stray Bolts 42. This is
the
last.
I was poorly interrupting.
Yeah, I don't know what you were trying to say.
But I was mainly curious on what your thoughts were of this one.
Stray Bolts 42. This is the end of the Sunshine and Roses storyline, and I think the book's gonna go on a hiatus for a while because Lapham says he needs to do some work for hire to kind of keep the lights on or whatever. Because I don't think this book is very profitable, but
I'm sure it isn't. Just me and you are the only ones that read it.
So Stray Bullets, the initial series, like in the first few issues, like Beth and what's the guy? Orson and their friend or whatever, they like steal a bunch of cocaine and money from the main guy, and they're like off on some seaside town. It happens in like issue 6 or 7 or 8 or the original Stray Bullets run. You never see what happens or how they stole the money or whatever. You assume there was just some quick little thing, they stole the money and got out of town, right?
So so this is Beth or whatever, one of them that
Beth and Orson.
The one that's like all
they stole the money. So
Sunshine
and Roses is the story of how they stole the money. So somehow David Lapham turned what seemed like one issue into like 42 issues.
42
issues
drug this thing out
of like them stealing the money and getting away. And it's and it's good. Like I mean, you're like, how did they turn okay, they stole this money, it seemed like this simple thing, into a 42 issue story? But he did, and it's interesting and it's good, and you're just like when this first came out, you're like, okay, this is what happened. It's like it'll be like 8 issues or it'll be 10
it'll be some little short story.
42 issues later, it's done.
He came out with a series before this,
Killers, which was 8 issues,
8 or 9 issues.
Yeah, because it was fairly short. I remember.
And so you're like, wow.
So is this the end?
This is the end. So at the end of this issue, they're on their way to that seaside town or whatever. So he finally bridged the gap. 42 issues.
Well, I was gonna say I guess that's true because they steal the money somewhere in that damn house, and then all of a sudden they show up at the seaside place.
Yeah, you never see how it happens. This is about how it happens. But he introduces new characters and they have all backstories. So I mean, he totally expands it into ways you never would have thought.
Just trying to think that probably every main character though in that one dies in the regular, don't they?
Well, at the end of the regular Stray Bullets, I think everybody's kind of dead, aren't they?
Well, except for the main girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he said the next series he's going to do is Virginia. So it'll be about Virginia Applejack mostly.
Her. She's the one that lives through.
Yeah, so he said the next Stray Bullet series will be called Virginia. So it'll be more about her, whatever.
Because I really thought that
5 years.
Well, I always thought that the original...
You'll start that in 5 years.
Probably.
So, yeah. But I always thought that was what the original Stray Bullets was really about
her.
in
Yeah,
general
she was definitely one of
her-
the main characters.
Her coming of age, in a lot of
Yeah,
respects.
and I mean,
And the things that
Amy
affected
Racecar is
her.
her character too.
That's
Like,
right, exactly
yeah,
right. So I always
totally.
felt like it was basically her story.
She's definitely
Just some of these other characters that were
Correct.
involved, you need to give some backstory to them, but yet they were there to show how they influenced Virginia. In
I would
different
think
ways.
Ginny Applejack is kind of the main protagonist of Stray Bullets. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, it was good. It's finally over. It just totally went in a lot of different directions. You didn't.
I believe it. But you enjoyed the whole
Oh, yeah.
thing for
No,
a
it was
story
good.
that ultimately
Yeah, I
you
mean-
kind of know where it's going. In
Well, you
42
do, but
damn
you-
issues, I mean, my God.
You know
that's
where
like,
it's going, but you don't really know how they're going to get there, and so that's the interesting part. And he introduces, like I said, he introduced lots of new characters, and I mean, even with Stray Bullets, like that thing was all jump around.
So I'm
time-wise,
assuming
too.
that a lot of the characters he introduces are also not exactly good people.
Yeah, varying degrees.
Varying
like a lot of
degrees,
shades
okay.
of gray.
Okay.
Some are a little lighter gray.
It seemed, yeah, I was gonna say, it's always seemed like a lot of times the characters he introduced. I mean, some of them would have some pretty dark.
Well, you got like the main.
backstories in some respects, or had ulterior motives that were always
The
pretty
main bad guy in this one is Kretschmeyer, and I think he was in the original one, but not much. But here he gets really developed. He's kind of like the bad guy of it.
Okay.
But then there's this cool like big black dude who's like kind of like a samurai ninja. He's got like a sword and stuff, and he's kind of a cool dude. And
Oh yeah.
so I mean, there's all sorts of interesting little, extra characters there.
Samurai Ninja.
Samurai Ninja.
Kind of reminds me of like Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai, or kind of thing.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oblivion
Way to
Song
pull
is
something
is
that's
in
like-
back in full force,
Is it really?
and it did like a time jump thing.
Like,
Of course it did.
And now, like the aliens from this other world are trying to come into Earth and like invade, basically.
so
there's
the
like
weird
a big,
faceless alien.
yeah.
type
So there's
people?
they're like gearing up for a big invasion. That's the big story that they're gearing up
Oh,
towards,
wow.
Sounds like,
Surprise,
so it's
surprise.
getting-
Sounds like the
Interesting.
first Avengers movie.
right?
Yeah.
Plunge
Exactly right.
Plunge finished up. It's the 6-issue final one. It was
Yeah.
pretty good. I enjoyed it. The imminent art was cool. The story was pretty decent. It's kind of a basic horror story type thing with kind of like a
That wrapped up.
yeah. It's just 6 issues. So.
Okay. That's Joe Hill, ain't it?
Yeah, it's the Joe Hill Comics
I need to
imprint.
finish.
Is it got a bit of a horror feel then?
Oh yeah, they're all his books are kind of horror. This one feels like a very kind of like The Thing or something. Which are you the one who said you never saw The Thing?
I've
Dawn?
never
No,
seen
that
the
was
thing.
Dawn.
It kind of feels
That's
kind
like
of
one
like
of
that.
the best, in my opinion, one of the best
Well, then you would like
Five
Plunge because it really feels like an
horror
updating of
films
that
of-
kind of story.
of all time.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm basing it off of Kurt Russell's, thing. So
Yeah.
you know,
So you would like Plunge. It's similar type
and
of story.
sometimes that happens because I watched that version of the thing probably when I was like 12 years old or something, and it is so claustrophobic, intense. I don't know if it holds up.
I'll
still.
watch it.
Well, that's the thing. I cannot pull myself to go see that, to watch that again, even though in my mind it will never live up to what I remember it to being, so many years ago.
Yeah.
So the comic book store gave me Space Riders #2, and
Why?
I was like, "Oh, did I forget to order #1? That's weird." But I read #2 because I had it. And then the next time I went, they gave me #1. So
Maybe he pulled a McFarlane.
I don't know.
They
But
pulled a
anyway,
McFarlane.
so I'm reading #1. I'm like, "Oh, so this is how they got where they got a #2." I got you. It's kind of
I'm
like
surprised you remembered.
it's kind of like a getting the band back
happened?
together kind of
Getting the
story.
band back together.
So in the second issue, they get the third member of the band. In the first one, he gets the first member of the band.
Is this the third series of Space Rider?
I think
Or the
it's
second?
the second series.
Need
It
to
might
sit
be
down.
the third. Oh, it might be the third. I don't know.
I need to sit down and read all of Space Rider, everything, because
Yeah, well, there's another series coming out, so-
Lost. in
Are you
all of
ordering
it.
this?
Yeah, I'm sure. That looks familiar.
I think the other two I have in trade. So
It's
did you
Alexis-
get #2?
It's Alexis Zerrett. Of course, I ordered it.
that's cool. Middle West finished up.
Yes,
Right,
it
so
did.
it's
So is that the last one?
Last one wraps up the story pretty well.
Does it?
The story's. I mean, I enjoyed the ending. It was good. It's a little predictable, I guess you could say. A
He
little
kills
obvious.
his dad.
But
He kills his dad and then serves chilled monkey brains.
but if you remember at the end of the last issue,
Okay.
they're like in like the fields where they have to like pick this like some kind of weird fuel off of plants or something.
Oh, I remember they were
And all
captured.
yeah, they're
somebody.
captured and they're like put to work, and that's most of it. Is they're in this camp trying to figure out how to escape and planning like their.
But do they wrap up then the whole father?
Yeah, the whole thing gets wrapped up. It's all
Saga,
very nice
whatever.
and a nice little bow and just
Does
kind of
it?
wrapped up pretty
Okay.
well. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Like I said, everything kind of comes together in a good way, and so the only criticism, other than being the story being a little obvious, there's like where his like father comes at the end, and there's like these pages of like just like Storm like for. Like,
Ooh, that's pretty.
it's cool and all, but it doesn't really tell much of a story because it's just like these weird
These cool,
storm
pictures of
pictures, yeah, of tornadoes for like 5, 6, 7 pages, and I'm just
Well, he
like,
does live in Kansas City now.
I know, that's true.
Those
But I
tornadoes
mean,
can be
it's
more
cool
prevalent.
pictures of storms, but it's just not really the narrative isn't quite there, in my opinion. That was my only little nitpicky thing. But yeah, no, Middle West is good. I assume you want this one, right?
Sure.
Because you read the other two.
I believe I have.
Cool. That's all I have.
And it's Scotty Young, so.
You know, Don's got one more.
I have one
tend
more.
to-
I'll
tend to
talk about.
like-
Is this?
I'm sorry.
Did this come in your Crisis thing?
No,
Oh, that's
no.
okay.
This is the DC Comics library.
Classics library.
Classics
Flash
library.
Of Two Worlds.
Yeah, I forgot to bring the jacket.
This is old. Is this Carmen Infantino?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Carmine
So this is the.
Infantino.
So I did buy that DC Crisis book.
We don't need to talk about that. Let's just talk about this.
This is what leads up to it
Damn
because
it.
because the DC Crisis collection collects everything that has to do with the Crisis, and the first 5 or 6 volumes of the book are the crossovers between Earth 1 and Earth 2.
What?
But the very first encounter with Earth 1 and Earth 2
Was it
is
here?
Flash of Two Worlds, which
This
they
isn't
don't
in there?
include
Oh,
in it.
damn.
So I
Did you
thought,
buy the Crisis thing first and then realize you needed this and so you went and bought this?
I've had this forever.
Oh, okay.
How old
Well,
is that?
From like the 60s.
When,
or 70s?
well, the story is the first appearance of it's like Flash number 8 or something.
It's
I
the
don't know.
first
Is this the
appearance of
first
the Flash?
Flash?
It's the very
It's the first appearance of the Flash?
It's the first
Of
appearance
Silver Age Flash.
of Silver Age Flash.
Flash
meeting,
number 123?
meeting the Golden Age Flash.
Oh, I mean the Golden. So it's not the first appearance of Flash.
No, it's the first appearance. It's when Jay Garrick meets. Is it Wally West, Barry West, whatever the fuck his name is?
Yeah, Barry
Barry
Allen.
Barry Allen.
God, you don't even know who the Flash is.
No,
You're
I don't even know
reading
who the
this crap.
Flash is. So it's the first appearance. It's when they introduce. It's how they bring the JLA.
So this collects all the times when
Into
he
the
ran into
Silver
the old
Age.
Flash.
Really?
Yes.
So it's not like in order. They're just all one-offs. of
No,
him
they're in
meeting.
order.
They're in order, but they're not like continuous.
No, they're like every 10 issues or so they would
So
bring.
it's
Jay
like
Garrick
5
back.
issues of the Flash where he met Jay Garrett.
Yes.
That's fun.
But that's got to be like the basis because the crisis on multiple Earths is when the JLA and the JS8 meet and come together. So this is the first time that Earth 1 and Earth 2 meet. The two Flashes meet. So I thought this is the basis, so I read this
That's
first.
deep.
Yes.
Wow.
But
How was it? Pretty horrible, right?
it's not.
No, it's horrible.
No, it's not horrible. You think
It's
that just
dated.
because anything is old, it's horrible.
No, it's just not good.
There
No, that
is-
would be me.
Some charm.
There's history, there's substance, there's a reason for it to exist.
Yeah.
It's a history in comics. Like I've
It
never
is.
read the Silver Age and the Golden. I've never read that.
It's
Like
because they're bad.
they're not bad. They're not bad.
They're not good.
It's not good. It's not
Depends
great.
on the time you live.
It's not great.
It's still good. It's I don't know.
If you enjoy it, that's cool. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't understand. Like, is Amazing Spider-Man #1? Is it bad?
You know, ironically, it holds up pretty well.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about Amazing Spider-Man. That's the one book.
Fantastic Four #1? Is that bad? Avengers #1? Is that bad?
It's pretty bad.
I
I
don't,
mean, it's bad in the sense that if you go back and read it now, you're just like, oh my god, it's like written for a 7-year-old.
That's what comic books were written for.
I know, but I'm not a 7-year-old, so for me to read it, it's
but
like.
you read books about girls getting
But that's not
braces.
But that's not written for some. It has a flow to it.
It
It's
is
much
written
better.
for like a 7-year-old.
No, because they don't.
It's written for a 12-year-old female.
Yeah, it's written for a 12-year-old.
But it's written in a way that doesn't like spoon feed you. I guess you could say. Like it's not
That's
spoon
just
fed.
how. That's
the style of the writing back
That's a
then.
flash. It's a piece of history. Like it's a piece of how things were in 1963.
Yeah, it's like if you go
or
back and
whatever.
read like old. Like I tried to read The Time Machine. Have you read that by H.G. Wells?
I've never read it.
yes.
No.
I went recently and tried to read that. It's like
Why would you do that?
it's just bad. It's
I
just
don't know.
it's
I
just the
can't.
writing style is rough. It's like it's
I can't.
boring.
I can't.
It's tedious.
I can't deal with it. It's fine. I'm just not going to even bring like my crisis stuff. 'Cause
No, you can
it's
bring
gonna
it.
Be 20 times of this.
If you enjoy it, that's great. For me, it becomes tedious because I feel like the writing style is telling me things I don't need. Like it's describing like action. I was like, but I'm used to modern comics that just show me. You know what I mean? Why are you showing me what the art can tell me? Right? Or why are you telling me what the art can show me?
Because that's the way it was done.
It
back
was the
then.
way it's done. And so there's some charm to that. But I don't want to read that for like a long time because to me it becomes tedious.
That's cool.
If you enjoy it, that's cool.
It's not your thing.
If you can get in the right mindset and enjoy that, that's cool. I can't do it most of the time. Every once in a while I can get in the right mindset. We can just appreciate it for the time era that it was from.
Right.
But you got to be almost in the right.
You got to be in the
mood,
right
so to
frame of
speak.
mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like Scott going back to read Sandman. It's like it's really wordy, and it's like you got to be in the
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
mindset, and you can appreciate it. But I don't have a lot of patience for a lot of stuff anymore.
Okay.
I'm not criticizing if you like it. I'm just
No, it's fine.
I'm just saying it's not my
I'm
bag.
talking to the wrong audience.
I guess so. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm sorry.
I'm not offended. I just think.
And you
that
can bring
it's-
your crisis and talk about it because I'm kind of curious how that all shook out.
I'm always
Well-
curious about it because I don't know anything comic history. In
You're not interested in how this shook out. You're just interested in telling me that you have it has no value or purpose to you.
Well, when I flipped through it, it looked like it was a bunch of separate one-off stories of just Jay Garrick and
It
Flash
is. That's-
teaming up.
when it's
Right?
just pointless to eat. Yes, because when the Silver Age Flash came into being, it was a huge thing. It was the beginning of the Silver Age. They brought in Flash because if you want to get into history, it's like all the comic books got away from superhero comic books. It was all after whatever 1940. I mean, yes, they still had Superman, but Superman wasn't selling.
Yeah.
It was all the horror comic books. It was
Correct.
all the war comic books. It was all the crime comic books.
And so did they bring
And
in
when
the Flash
Showcase
or-
number 4 happened, and they brought
The Flash,
the
Silver
Flash,
Age back.
the Silver Age, they brought the Flash back, a new character. It was a big deal because
Yeah.
people are like, oh, cool, superheroes are cool now.
What?
Well, then they're like, well, there used to be a Flash in the JSA like back in the 30s or whatever. So now how is there this new Flash? So they had to come up with a way to bring back those characters and make them real. So whoever it was, not Carmen Infantino, but like the main guy, is it Jewel? God, what's his name? I can't
This
think
is
of
Gardner Fox wrote this, but yeah, I know who you're talking
Right,
about.
but anyway,
Jules Pfeiffer?
no, Jules. I'm
I know who you're talking. Jules Schwartz?
Yeah, Julie Schwartz. I think he's the one. But anyway,
He's that
whoever,
one.
they're like, okay, well, we're gonna say that we live on Earth 1, and this other JSA thing that happened back in the 40s,
That's Earth 2.
that's Earth 2, and all that stuff happened.
Yeah.
And so, like, Barry
The
Allen,
continuity.
he, like, lived on Earth 1, and he read the comic books of the JSA, and, like, Jay Garrick was, like, his hero. He was his superhero when he was a kid. It was fiction.
Yeah.
So it's like bringing fiction into real world.
It's kind
in
of
a
fourth
comic
wallish.
book. Yes, it's very fourth wallish, but that was the way that they solved the problem.
Yeah. I
So
hear you.
then it got popular, and people were like, "Oh, cool! This other Flash is cool." So every 10 issues or every year, they would be like, well, we'll write a story where Barry Allen and Jay Garrick team up together and they do a caper together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's basically what it is. And then it falls into the JSA and the JLA, which is where you get the next books, which is they did a crossover in like Justice League of America or whatever, 21 and 22, and then it got popular, so it became like a yearly thing. So like every 12 issues, every year in Justice League, they would do like a two-issue story where it was the JLA and the JSA meet up and fight. And like I started reading the first one, and then I went back, and then when I finished that, I started reading the other one. I just haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
But then, like, in the third or the fourth story, then like, oh, well, we'll make Earth 3, and Earth 3 is the bad guys, where the bad guys, it's the evil Superman and the evil whatever, you know, like, I don't know, that stuff's just interesting to me. It's, like, cool.
It's cool history, and then they created a huge problem they had to solve with Crisis on Infinite Earths,
absolutely.
It became a freaking pain in the ass to keep all this continuity straight, and then they reversed it.
They went and did the same thing.
And they went 20 years later, they did the same thing for all these other Earths.
And now
there's 52 Earths.
And now they've done this death metal, you know?
Yes.
And
it's popular in some ways.
Well, yes, it is, but I'm reading...
me.
The art's cool. It's Snyder and it's
the big
Capullo.
thing. It seems that it's the art.
The art is amazing,
and
they created.
Is so good.
You talked about how like nobody has created characters that last or whatever.
So death metal is just like versions of other.
It is, but it's also they have the Joker, the Joker who laughs or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that dude is like insanely popular. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like just
still the
crazy.
Joker,
but it is for now. Will it hold up?
The thing that that I was reading through the previews, and I'm reading it, and it's like now they're doing another special spinoff or whatever, and it's like the evil 50. There's 52 evil Earths now.
I know.
And it's
so
like,
why is it that?
And I'm like, so like because the
why is DC so obsessed with the multiverse? It seems like Marvel has a little bit of that, but not nearly to the level that DC dives into that.
Because it gives them freedom for whatever.
And the thing that I don't get either, it's because it's part of their history. I mean,
I know, but they tried to erase it, and now they just keep falling into that same track.
And then they backtrack, and then they start it over again because they think maybe it'll catch on this time or whatever.
Well, it caught on before. Like I said, people loved it, but
like,
it just got too complicated. So they tried to.
But like Rebirth, like I don't know. A lot of people say like a lot of the Rebirth stuff was good. Like Like the Superman Rebirth stuff was good.
It was back to basics.
It was back to basics. I mean,
it's a cycle. It's like people get tired of the new, and so they want to feel like it was before, and they get tired of that, and they
nostalgia.
They like the nostalgia, and they get tired of that, so they need to freshen it up.
Right. It's like
did you see what McFarlane's doing with Spawn? There's like a ninja Spawn and like a.
Why is a gunslinger Spawn?
And gunslinger Spawn.
Because I guess that...
And he's like put them on the covers and they're like jumping the orders are like spiking because the Ninja Spawn is on the cover. He's not even in the comic yet. He's just on the cover and so people are like ordering extra copies.
Oh yeah, that Gunslinger Spawn cover, like it went into a second
print
or
second
whatever.
printing because it's Gunslinger Spawn.
Right.
his orders are like shooting through.
The thing that amazes me is like I was on eBay.
It's like, well, Medieval Spawn was popular. Dude, what if I do Gunslinger Spawn? Right. I can't do a Todd McFarlane voice. I wish I could.
Hey, man.
Hey, Gunslinger Spawn. The kids love that. Let's do the Ninja Spawn.
Right. I'm Todd McFarlane. Spawn.
I've got Gunslinger Spawn. I've got Medieval Spawn. I've got Ninja Spawn.
And I'm making action figures of all of them.
There's going to be action figures of all of these. Kickstarter for each one.
God damn, what was I going to say? You threw me
eBay. You went on eBay.
Oh, yeah, eBay. Those issues
of Spawn
that Eric Larson did.
Oh yeah,
those things are going for like $50-$60.
Really?
They were like super low print. I don't know why people want them now.
Because they're super low print.
I know, but it's Spawn. Spawn's been super low print for 20 years, and nobody gave two shits about it. But I don't know what it is because like I was just on eBay and I saw something that was like. One of the issues that Eric Larson did was like $40, and I'm like, there's no way, because that only came out like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm like, why the hell? And then I go on eBay, and they're like
Well,
in
here's
the
what I've
$40 to
noticed.
$60 range for a Spawn comic that came out 5 years ago.
So a while back, I ordered. I think we were at Comic-Con one year. I got a bunch of those Spawn like trade paperbacks. I collected a bunch of them. I went through and I read up to like 50 or so. Some of those Spawns are hard to read because they're kind of wordy and not much happens. Like there's not a lot of action.
Yeah.
But there's part of me that wants to go back and like reread Spawn. 'Cause,
Right.
You know, whatever. You can't find the hardcovers anymore. Like a lot of the hardcovers, the deluxe ones are out of print and you can't get them.
I got them.
You got them,
Well,
yeah.
I
But I'm
got
saying they're out of print.
Most of them.
I can get
yeah.
most of the trades,
But
but the trades only go up to like a kind of past 100. When you get past 100, he didn't really collect them religiously in trades, and he didn't keep them in print. So you get to like 250 where Larson was. You can't find a trade of that very easily, and it's not in print. He keeps the early trades in print, but he doesn't keep everything in
Those.
print. And so, if you want to read them, it's kind of like old school. Like you got to either do digital or you got to freaking find the back issue.
They're on
you know?
digital. I think everything's
On digital, but if you want a paper copy, you either got to buy the single issue
You're
or
buying the single issues.
because the trades are. It's not like,
Yeah.
and I think that's the problem that McFarlane or Larson's always complaining. He's like, I got like 250 issues of Savage Dragon. You know how expensive it is to keep all those trades in print all the time because somebody might order the first one and then decide I want to read all of
The
them.
rest.
And it's like I gotta run a whole. It's not like I can just print one. You know, I gotta run a whole print run of each trade, and then it sits for what? Because nobody's buying these things. You
Right.
know, it's like one guy. And
But
it's
does
just
he
like-
even have a trade at all? Is the problem. I
Well,
those-
Savage Dragon is pretty spotty, and McFarlane he was pretty good about having most stuff collected. But
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point
When
it
they
dropped
came
off.
out with the
That's
Spawn,
right, and that's where I see the bigger problem. If you were somebody that was dedicated to the trades,
yeah,
you know, type stuff, and then they suddenly stop, then your only avenue is getting to the paper issues, you know, type
Yeah.
things. And now you try to find those because most of the time the trades are 6 months to a year, you know, after. Now you're like screwed because they've already been out there, you know, and type things, and you got to try to find them.
Yeah.
At least if they would continue the trades, there's always going to be a cycle in them. Even
Correct.
if you're right, they quit printing trades, somebody's selling an older trade one way or
Yeah.
another that you could try to go find. But if it never existed in the first place, that's where I see your bigger problem is.
Yeah.
Because then you're trying, to your point, single issue wise, you're all over the place because people will go sell one issue or they sell
yeah.
dozen issues with shit missing in between because somebody like Don bought and thought that they missed their diamond order and missed
Yeah.
the stuff in between. And
I have a full run of Spawn.
You're supposed to still bring me that issue of Low that I missed.
I sold
Oh,
all my
yeah.
Spawn.
Tell me which one it is.
I think it's 22.
I sold all my
Text me
Curse of the
which one
Spawn
it is.
and the Spawn and Spawn.
I have a
But I only
full
had
run
up
of
to-
Spawn. All
You went up to 100,
309 issues.
I think that's where I was. I think I was actually somewhere just under 100, probably somewhere in the 90s. I was up there.
all 309 issues of Spawn I own.
Why? Have you read them all then?
Do you have Ninja
Yeah.
Spawn?
Well,
Overall,
up
a fairly good
to, I
story.
Yeah,
haven't read
Gunslinger
up to.
Spawn.
I'm like up to 300. I haven't read like the last 9 issues, but yeah,
Okay.
I bought
But
Spawn
overall,
every
it was
month
it's
since it
been
came
a
out.
pretty good story.
It's
that
got
you-
its ups and
you've
downs.
enjoyed
And,
and things.
but yeah,
Is it still the same guy from the very first one, or
We mixed it up at some point,
no.
but I think Al Simmons is back.
yeah. Al Simmons came back, but yeah,
But for a while, it was like some white dude with
he
like blonde hair.
died.
he finally used up all his
He
power?
went away or whatever for like 30 or 40 years.
Because that was part of the catch of that whole thing was that he only had so much
Yeah, but they did away
power,
with that.
so to speak.
That
They
was
did
like
away
gimmick.
with that once he figured out he could go past 40 issues or so, 50
Okay.
issues. He had to do away with the. He had to
The
figure
power
out a
meter.
way to do away
It
with
was a good
the power
idea
meter.
until he realized.
I was gonna say, I don't know. I mean,
Hey,
I
man,
read
this
for a
caught
long
on.
time, and I think he still had
Well, maybe
Power
100
meter
is where they ended
in
up the
weird
power
way,
meter.
but I don't know.
But yeah, I
Right.
did pick up that collection, but I didn't have all of them. I'm missing like 1 or 2, and they're not all first prints, and they're not in great shape, but they're the hardcover collections. And he even did like you might be able to get the trades of
Yeah, I
that
think the trades are out.
because I think that trades are still in print.
Scott's gonna talk about Marvel United.
Well, I don't know about Marvel United, but or talk too much about
We
it.
need
But
to move.
woo, I don't know. That's up to you. Marvel United.
don't know. That's up to you. Do you want it in there?
Yeah.
I do.
It is a board game from
What?
Simon and or Come On Games and Spin Master, because Spin Master. owns it.
Spin Master. What else
But-
did Spin Master do?
They did like what the 8-minute dungeon type things and some other type stuff, you know, and things. And so here's where it is. I mean, it comes into a mix of, you know, Spin Master. Hey, let's do quick stuff that people can like, you know, or that they can learn the rules quickly or whatever else it may be. And then Simon that just likes, you know, miniatures and craziness. There you go. Look at that Hulk though. That's pretty cool. Actually, I think Black Widow's pretty cool looking too. Your Ant-Man.
So how many miniatures did the base game come with?
I don't know.
Like 8?
It's
10?
I think it was 10 because you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Who's
Yeah,
the-
10.
Who's the white Captain America?
Captain
That?
America.
Left. I mean, Iron Man. Sorry. Up on the left of Red
That's
Skull.
Ultron.
Ultron?
That's
Ultron.
Ultron. Okay.
Yes.
The white.
Apparently,
Iron
that's
Man.
a horrible rendering.
Apparently,
Not
you
really.
don't like
See,
that.
he's got like the little, like,
I guess. I don't
Yes.
he's kind of like the movie version.
So the
That's why I
overall
was thrown
idea
off.
of this game, though, is it's another entry into the co-op type of games, in which you're working together to defeat the bad guy. And in the case of this, you have Ultron, which you pointed out is the alternate white Iron Man, and
And they throw in Taskmaster.
Taskmaster for whatever reason,
Because he's
and Red
popular
Skull.
now.
So, well, just because he looks cool. And
He does
maybe
look-
to
He
help
does
capital-
look pretty awesome.
I do
help
kinda wanna paint
capitalize
him.
on the Black Widow movie
So
coming
you're gonna
out.
paint all your miniatures.
And he can get as popular as he wants to because I have his first appearance.
There you
and it's
go.
signed by George Perez. So
All right.
boost
So-
that thing up so I can.
The overall
Retire.
idea of this game, though, is that your heroes trying to defeat one of the bad guys. In this case, the guys in red are the bad guys. The ones in blue are your good guys. Each good guy has.
How do
its-
you know that if you paint him though?
Well,
Well,
then
if you're
just,
smart, you
know.
paint like the base like red, and you paint like the other base.
There
Or
you
like
you
go.
could
gray.
just leave it. You could just leave the base.
You could.
Red.
I'm a sloppy painter. I'd probably get paint on it.
Yeah.
You pretty much have to paint it. 'Cause
Or
there's
you
no
could-
way I'm not getting paint on that base.
Or you could just know who the characters are.
And you gotta
That's
prime
exactly
them. And when
right.
you prime with like a spray primer, you have to like mask off.
It gets
the base or
everything.
something.
Yeah, so then you like have to mask
That's not
things
gonna
off, and
work.
it's just not fun.
Huh.
So,
That's not gonna work.
so if you paint them,
If you do that in
you
the
better
garage,
just know your heroes and villains.
You prime in your garage. He's
So-
got
Since you haven't bought me an airbrush yet,
he's got gray spots all up and
I
down.
do
his
have
car.
some like white spots in my floor of my garage.
And the floor, I would expect, yeah.
Not in my car.
Not on the car, I'd hope. But
I would put them on the hood of your car and just.
That is one
that
way
sounds
to
like
go.
something I would do. But anyway, Marvel United is a co-op game that plays pretty fast overall.
Can we
though,
play
as
it right
co-op
now?
type
We
things.
just played on the.
Yeah, there you go. But an entire game plays in under an hour, which is nice.
Oh, that's not fast.
No.
Well, I don't know anything that's in that under that.
Oh,
hour.
remind me after the
Yeah,
fact, 'cause I
it's
have to tell you a steampunk rally story.
Okay, there you go. But overall, it plays fairly quickly, I guess I should say. I felt like it kept people engaged, but it is very vanilla as co-op type games go. It's more like into that entry level type of thing, trying to get people used to these QT miniatures with fairly basic, easy rules. With some little tweaks in them, depending on how cards go. Part of the fun is that
Barbara and Christian might like it.
I'm
part
sure
of
they probably
the
would.
each villain has their own master plan deck. Each hero has their own deck, which can have some different things in it, which can add some variety into things. But it's nothing too difficult though to understand. So it's, if you're new to board games, or at least new to even the co-op concept of board games, this is very good entry point type of thing. Because especially if you like the subject matter, of Marvel heroes and villains and things like that. If you're used to a lot of board games and you've got a ton of co-ops and things, this is not bringing anything new to you. Unless you just really like the miniatures and stuff.
The miniatures
But
are cool.
the miniatures are very cool, but it's just not bringing in a lot of depth.
It's like a
though,
very
to some of that type
Chibi.
stuff.
It's a very angular Scotty Young.
Oh yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of.
I can see that.
It's like a kitty, but edges.
Yeah.
Not like super cartoony kitty like Scotty Young does.
Yeah.
But like
Well, it's
a
like
Wasn't it Chibi?
it's Edward
I hate
Eduardo
chibi.
Isn't that what it is?
Guton.
I have no idea.
So Eduardo Guton or
So
something.
did you do like
comic
Massive
guy.
Darkness?
He did. Well, I know he did some stuff for Zombicide, and I think even before that, though, that he was a renowned type of artist in some type of other.
I get that. I'm
comic
sure it
realms
is
or
the
something.
chibi stuff. It's just,
So-
but Scotty Young was chibi before chibi was chibi,
That's true.
Yeah, that
and
I don't know.
chibi's stupid.
So
I hate
I
chibi.
mean, Chibi was
Well,
out
there you
there.
go.
I think even before Scotty Young, in some
Yeah.
respects, he
I
just
don't-
kind of
I
took
don't
some
know
of those
which came
aspects
first.
and kind of Americanized it a little bit more. So, but like I say, it's got an interesting art look. The miniatures are really great. I find the gameplay pretty decent, especially for people that probably aren't as experienced in some of the board games, and are looking for something that's a little bit more light. My son, though, that I think tends to like a little bit more of maybe some strategic depth, didn't really enjoy this, and my wife, I think, just kind of tuned out. So, it is what it is, in some respects. But I think there's a lot of variety there for a lot of people, and I think the fact of having characters that have their own decks that could be somewhat different is appealing to a lot of the gamer crowd. And it's a good subject matter in general, if you like the Marvel universe.
When you get in the
like that.
Kickstarter stuff.
So, not till next year, 2021, and there's a whole shit ton of that.
Yeah,
My
they
gosh.
Kickstarted, and every day there's like a new stretch goal for like new characters. So there's like
Oh yeah,
30 more characters.
So there's like 30 more heroes. The bigger thing is that do you notice the main guy that's missing from this? It's
Red
from-
Skull.
Well,
Thanos?
Red Skull's there, but
Um,
no, it's Spider-Man. I mean, from a property perspective, Spider-Man's not in the base game.
Well, some you had to buy, didn't you?
Well, Spider-Man, there is a separate expansion that's supposed to come
buy.
out. That
And
will
wasn't
be
like
into the
Thor you had to
Spider-Verse.
buy, or no? I think Thor was in it.
No, Thor is a separate expansion.
See, that was annoying. That's what was
Yeah,
pissing me off
yeah.
about the thing, because some of the major characters you had to buy.
Yeah,
and
Thor
some-
is in his own expansion, and that's kind of it makes sense to a point because they're adding Loki as a villain, and the whole Loki subset is adding a traitor to the mix, type of thing. So it's adding a little bit more of a different type of gameplay in there. There's like a Black Panther expansion. There is, to your point, a Thanos, Infinity Stone expansion. The Spider-Man expansion. So I think that's about it. There may be one more in between, but then
Yeah, a
there's
bunch of like
a whole,
obscure characters. I thought
a
were
whole
cool.
load of other characters, and I think even a handful of other villains, type of thing. So there's going to be some decent variety in there, but I don't know how much it's going to change. With the exception of the Loki one, where I talked about it adding, a bit more of a difference in gameplay of the traitor. I don't know how much the other ones are going to add much different than just saying, oh, instead of this villain now doing this and being more difficult with civilians, this one's more difficult when it comes to thugs, or whatever else. So I don't know. The overall basics, you're trying to complete missions so that you can defeat the villain type thing. I don't know if that basic premise is going to change too much depending on what type of villains you choose. Some I'm sure are going to be more difficult than others just because of the fact that they're going to have some power that says, oh, yeah, I knock all heroes, no matter where they're at, and other ones will say, well, I knock all heroes that are in my area, and type things and stuff like this. So they could change the difficulty. They do add some other ideas to change the difficulty to try to make the co-op game more difficult. But like I say, overall, it's fun. It looks great. It's got a certain table presence
Should
with
paint
it.
those guys.
So, not.
so
So-
is this game a Kickstarter game only?
No,
Okay.
that's what's interesting.
So
Okay,
you can go buy this at the store.
You
Or
can.
on
You can go.
Amazon.
You can go into You can go to Amazon, and Amazon you will get essentially the same version. You could go to Walmart though, and Walmart right now has Marvel United, but instead of the Wasp, it comes with a Venom hero.
I want that.
Which is exclusive to
Better than
Walmart. So now, because I kickstarted it, I will get the Venom one. I think from what I read, but that is But right now, like I said, to your
So
point,
you
can
got
buy
this
it.
from Kickstarter.
I got mine from Kickstarter, and part of it was that I told them they offered you a scenario where you could get the base game before you got all the rest of your extras, or you could just get it all together in one big shot. And I said, no, I'll take the base game first.
So you can pay shipping.
I don't care about shipping.
A
I'm
little
rich.
bit, but the shipping difference
I
was
did that
like,
with Tainted Grail.
I know. I mean, honestly,
It's not cheap, but I did.
well, I felt like their shipping difference in this one was like, I don't know. It was probably more than
like $10.
most people would, but yeah, it was somewhere between $5 to $10. So I was like,
did it.
for that, I'm going for it
Me
because,
too.
but
$10, who cares?
I don't
I
know.
burned $10.
I mean, because $10. I mean, shoot, when I decide that I don't like this and I turn it around on eBay, I mean, hell, I'm gonna make another $100 anyway, right?
Not on the base game.
Not on this game.
Not on the base
extra,
game
it's
itself.
Right at
no.
Walmart.
It'll be all the extra type stuff. No, you'd much rather have the Walmart version than this one because you get Venom, you know. So, who wants Wasp?
Nobody.
But I will say, the Wasp is one of my favorite
Who will
miniatures
say?
because it has a die at the base.
is cool.
That is just freaking cool.
So
So,
to paint all those little dots.
yes. Actually, Ant-Man and the Wasp are two of my favorite miniatures out of this game, but
There you
it is.
go. I like the Hulk and Taskmaster.
Yes. Taskmaster's pretty badass looking. I do admit
I like
that.
the white Iron Man
The white Iron
Ultron?
Man.
skull.
You mean Ultron?
Yeah, that one.
Interesting. All right. Anything else? Are we wrapped up? All right.
Wrapped it up.
Thanks for listening, everybody.